Chapter 1492. Chapter 1492. Chapter 1492. Fighting at the front line. If you want to fight, then let's fight. What's with all this nonsense? No matter what Shido the Venerable One said, he could not shake Master Devil's determination to fight. Ji-mo was not a fledgling. On the contrary, he knew Shido the Venerable very well. Even if he promised Shido the Venerable One, the latter would not fulfill his promise. All right, since you're seeking death, I'll fulfill your wish. Shido the Venerable knew that Master Ji-mo would not compromise, so he tore the void apart and charged toward Giant Shield City's city tower. Shio. Seeing as Shido the Venerable One was getting closer to him, Master Ji-mo stomped his feet and flashed away. Rumble. In the void in front of Giant Shield City, Shido the Venerable and Master Ji-mo were engaged in a fierce battle. In terms of cultivation, Shido Venerable was a quasi-heavenly supreme, while Ji-mo Venerable was only a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Supreme. Nevertheless, Master Devil's combat power was not weaker than Shido the Venerable One. The two of them battled in mid-air, sending shockwaves in all directions. Kai. Since Giant Shield City was protected by a peerless killing formation, the aftermath of the battle between Daoist Master Ji-mo and the others did not affect Giant Shield City much. On the other hand, the West Road Army was the one who was affected. Fairy Yun Shi, something isn't right. On the Giant Shield City's gate tower, Master Xing Yun had a grave look on his face as he watched the fight between Saint Master Ji-mo and Shido the Venerable. Shido the Venerable led his army to the border, but instead of attacking, he fought with Master Ren-mo here. There must be a reason behind this abnormality. I also feel that something is wrong. Could it be that they are playing some sort of trick? Not only did Grandmaster Xing Yun notice the clues, even Yun Shi felt that something was wrong. If I'm not wrong, the higher-ups among them should be secretly plotting to break the peerless killing formation. Not good. Luring the tiger away from the mountain. Master Xing Yun frowned slightly. Before he could finish his sentence, his expression changed drastically. Although the peerless killing formation was terrifying, the northern gate was the weakest link. Because there was a small array eye there. As long as a large number of experts attacked together, forcefully attacking the small formation eye, there was a very high chance that the peerless killing formation would be broken. Now that Shido the Venerable One was fighting Master Ji-mo, he was clearly buying time for the other powerhouses. Go. Thinking of this, Master Xing Yun and Fairy Yun Shi tore the void and rushed towards the north gate. Mu Ping, Mu Hua, where's your master? At the same time, in one of the tents of the Eastern Army, Ning Yu looked at the two cultivators in front of him and said in a deep voice, "Is there something important that you're hiding from me?" Ning Yu was very angry at this time. He released his keen perception and discovered that there was no sign of Meng Quan in the entire Eastern Army. Moreover, not only was there no sign of Meng Quan, even the experts of the Jin clan, as well as the dozens of bloodthirsty mad wolves that Jin Kitchen brought along, had disappeared into thin air. To be able to make these bloodthirsty wolves disappear under the eyes of Ningyu, Meng Quan must have some kind of terrifying magical treasure on here. We don't know either. Mu Ping and Mu Hua were on the verge of tears. The two of them really didn't know what was going on. Before Meng Quan left, he only told them to stabilize the Eastern Army and remember not to cause any trouble. Now that Ningyu asked them, they could only be in the dark and unable to answer. Compete. Not telling the truth. Ningyu snorted coldly and immediately activated the soul power in Mu Ping and Mu Hua's bodies. Ah! As soon as Ningyu activated his soul power, Mu Ping and Mu Hua screamed in pain. Their lives were in Ningyu's hands. If Ningyu wanted them to live, they would live. If Ningyu wanted them to die, they would die immediately. Before Master left, he told us to stabilize the Eastern Army and not to cause any trouble. Under the threat of death, Mu Ping spilled the beans. I see. Ningyu frowned slightly and murmured, "If I'm not wrong, all the experts of the four armies must be plotting on how to break the killing formation." His eyes darting, Ningyu instantly came up with a countermeasure. "I'll leave 20 bloodthirsty berserk wolves to follow you. Do something for me." Ningyu's soul power surged and a message was transmitted to Mu Ping and Mu Hua's minds. Hiss. Hearing this, Mu Ping and Mu Hua sucked in a breath of cold air at the same time. Ningyu actually wanted to do this. This was taking drastic measures. The long-haired man will cooperate with you on this matter. All you need to do is wait for my order and then act according to plan. After giving the order, Ningyu's figure flashed and quietly left the Eastern Army. Beside Ningyu, Ma Qianshan followed closely. Ma Qianshan lost to Ningyu in an alchemy bet and was controlled by Meng Quan. In the next 3 days, he had to obey Ningyu unconditionally. Leaving some distance away from the Eastern Army, Ningyu directly stopped and stared at Ma Qianshan, saying, "You return to the Western Army now and do something for me." Ningyu did not beat around the bush and briefed Ma Qianshan on the matter that he instructed Mu Ping and the rest. Now that the peak powerhouses of the 4 armies had already left, it was the best time to implement the plan. Missing this opportunity, there would be no more. What Ningyu was doing was also taking a gamble. If the gamble was right, he could stop the advance of the 4 armies. If the gamble failed, at most, he would just walk away. Hearing Ningyu's plan, Ma Qianshan's eyes revealed a hint of horror. Ningyu was actually so vicious. Once this plan of Ningyu's succeeded, it would bring about a devastating blow to the Western Army. But people had no choice but to lower their heads under the eaves. In order to survive, Ma Qianshan could only do as Ningyu said. Swoosh! His figure flashed and Ma Qianshan instantly moved towards the Western Army. As for Ningyu, he changed his direction and made a huge detour around Giant Shield City, circling to the northern gate of Giant Shield City. The weakest point of the Giant Shield City's peerless killing array was the small array eye at the northern gate. Back then, when Ningyu left Giant Shield City, he had left from there. Now that Meng Quan and the rest wanted to break the peerless killing array, their first destination would definitely be there. There was no need to even think about it. There's indeed something strange. Not far from the northern gate of Giant Shield City, Ningyu was hidden in the void with the help of space. Although he was hidden in the void, Ningyu did not dare to be careless. Because in the surroundings, Ningyu felt at least a few terrifying auras. The owner of these auras was at least a 9th grade Earth Supreme Realm cultivator. Swish! Swish! Not long after Ningyu hid, 2 figures sped over from Giant Shield City. Without a doubt, these 2 figures were Fairy Yun Shi and Grandmaster Xing Yun. After sensing the danger, the 2 of them did not stop and directly came to the northern gate. Let's see what they're going to do first. Ningyu tried his best to hide in the void and did not choose to expose himself. Chapter 1493. Chapter 1493. Chapter 1493 Self-Destruct. Fortunately, they haven't started yet. Grandmaster Xing Yun released his soul force and observed his surroundings for a while. Then, he took a deep breath and said, "Protect me. I want to set up a defensive formation around this small formation core." A small formation eye was the weakest link of a peerless killing formation. Although he didn't know how the experts from 100 Flower City knew about it, Grandmaster Xing Yun knew very well that he had to protect this formation eye and not let it be broken. Only by protecting the small array core could the peerless killing array be guaranteed to not have any problems, thus buying enough time for Palatial Lord Centaurea. Palatial Lord Centaurea was using the soul attraction art. As long as he could buy her enough time, the mysterious expert in Centaurea Palace would at least be severely injured. When that happened, Shido the Venerable One and the others would surely lose their morale. All right. Fairy Yun Shi knew how serious the problem was. She flicked her sleeves and took out her 100 Flowers fan. Holding the 100 Flower fan, Fairy Yun Shi's expression was grave as she paid close attention to her surroundings. Rise. Grandmaster Xing Yun unleashed his powerful soul power and began to arrange a formation around the small formation core. Rumble. However, before Master Xing Yun could finish setting up the formation, there was a sudden change. Outside the north gate, several figures suddenly emerged. These figures attacked in unison, and their target was the void where the small formation core was located. Block. Fortunately, Yunshi Fairy waved her 100 Flower fan and blocked this fatal attack for Grandmaster Xing Yun. Otherwise, with Master Xing Yun's strength, even if he didn't die, he would be crippled. After the first exchange, several figures appeared outside the north gate. Meng Quan, Jin Kitchen, Southern Dipper the Venerable. In the void, Ningyu's expression became extremely solemn. Even with Fairy Yunshi's 100-flower fan, it would be difficult for her to defend against such a powerful lineup. I have to think of a way to give the Tower of Ascension to Grandmaster Xingyun. Ningyu's eyes turned as he thought of a countermeasure. With the 100-flowers fan in hand, Fairy Yunshi's strength was equivalent to that of a Sky Supreme. If Grandmaster Xingyun had the Tower of Ascension, he would definitely be stronger than Fairy Yunshi. Block. How are you going to block it? Outside the north gate, the corners of Meng Quan's mouth curled up as he said coldly, as long as we're willing, we can easily break this small formation eye. Who doesn't know how to boast? If you have the ability, then go ahead and break this small array eye. Fairy Yunshi was not someone who could be easily frightened. With a treasure like the 100-flowers fan, she believed that Meng Quan and the others would not dare to barge in forcefully. The 100-flowers fan was famous throughout the Pill Formation continent. If Meng Quan and the rest barged in, they would probably leave behind a few corpses. I know what you're thinking, but I'm sorry, we're well prepared this time. Meng Quan shrugged, and then he said in a clear voice, Bada, send out 10 bloodthirsty mad wolves now, and let them charge at the small formation eyes one by one. As Meng Quan's voice rang out, the surrounding space gradually split open. Bada appeared with dozens of bloodthirsty mad wolves. Bada didn't listen to Meng Quan's instructions but said coldly, you have no right to order us. They have no right to order you, but do I have the right to order you? Meng Quan had yet to speak when Jin Kitchen beside him said coldly, I'm ordering you guys right now, charge at the formation eyes one by one, or else, kill without mercy. Jin Kitchen, don't go too far. Bada didn't listen to Jin Kitchen's orders. His facial expression was very savage. Some time ago, the reason why Bada obeyed Jin Kitchen's orders was entirely because the wolf race genius was trapped. Now that the wolf race genius was rescued by Ningyu, Bada had no worries anymore. Bada even secretly gave the order that as long as Jin Kitchen pushed the wolves too far, they would self-detonate together and perish together with Jin Kitchen and the others. Going too far? I think you're courting death. Being slapped in the face by Bada in front of so many people, Jin Kitchen felt that face was irrelevant. His figure flashed out explosively. Jin Kitchen charged toward Bada at high speed. He wanted to teach Bada a lesson, let Bada know what was called a slave. In the process of advancing, Jin Kitchen urged the seal in Bada's body, making Bada's expression look extremely painful. Fighting with me, you're still a little inexperienced. Seeing Bada's painful appearance, Jin Kitchen said proudly, I'll give you the last, rumble. Just as Jin Kitchen was about to give an order to Bada, something extremely frightening happened. The body of the bloodthirsty mad wolf closest to him swelled up and suddenly exploded. This bloodthirsty mad wolf's cultivation was at grade 5 Earth Supreme. Although the self-detonation of the bloodthirsty mad wolf didn't hurt Jin Kitchen, it rang an alarm bell for him. These bloodthirsty mad wolves had rebelled. Crash. While Jin Kitchen was resisting the self-detonation, many bloodthirsty mad wolves stood in front of Bada. Moreover, the bodies of these bloodthirsty mad wolves had enlarged, showing signs of self-detonation at the slightest disagreement. Damn it! The sudden change made Jin Kitchen panic, and he hurriedly shifted his gaze to the Jin family's Sky Supreme expert. The Jin family's Sky Supreme expert was called Jinbo. Jinbo handled things much more rationally than Jin Kitchen. He said in a clear voice, let's make a deal. As long as one bloodthirsty mad wolf rushes to the small array core, I'll break the seal in its body. Crash. Jinbo's words caused some chaos in the pack of bloodthirsty mad wolves. A life for a life. It might seem like the bloodthirsty mad wolves were at a loss, but anyone with a discerning eye knew that they had no other choice. Jinbo wasn't like Jin Kitchen. He had the ability to detonate all the seals in the bodies of these bloodthirsty mad wolves. The Jin family's seals were famous in the Pill Formation continent. I'll go first. After a brief moment of silence, a 5th-grade Earth Sovereign Realm bloodthirsty wolf charged towards the array core. Rumble. As soon as the bloodthirsty mad wolf approached the small array core, it was crushed by the 100 Flowers fan's protective shield and died on the spot. You can go now. Jinbo kept his promise. He pointed at another 5th-grade Earth Supreme mad wolf and said, I said a life for a life, so I won't go back on my words. Jinbo flicked his finger, and a cold light flew towards the bloodthirsty mad wolf. Buzz. Clearly, along with the buzzing sound, the seal within the body of the 5th grade Earth Supreme Realm bloodthirsty wild wolf was completely broken. You go first. Bada personally checked the condition of the bloodthirsty mad wolf's body. After ensuring that the seal was broken, Bada pointed to the distance and said in a deep voice, "Go as far as you can." Okay. At first, the bloodthirsty mad wolf didn't want to leave. But when it saw Bada raise his brows unnaturally, its figure flashed and flew away. In the blink of an eye, the bloodthirsty mad wolf disappeared. Whoosh. Whoosh. No one noticed. After the bloodthirsty mad wolf left, 2 figures quietly tore through the void and disappeared. As I expected, they want to hunt this bloodthirsty mad wolf. Chapter 1494. Chapter 1494. Chapter 1494 Serious Show. This 5th grade Earth Supreme Realm bloodthirsty wild wolf was extremely fast. After leaving the northern gate, Bu Fang rushed toward the distance without stopping. It was as if he knew the predicament he was in. If he didn't leave quickly, he would definitely be killed. However, this bloodthirsty berserk wolf was only a 5th grade Earth Sovereign, while the 2 cultivators chasing after it were 7th grade Earth Sovereigns. The reason why the 2 7th grade Earth Sovereigns did not make a move wasn't because they were soft-hearted, but because this place wasn't too far away from Giant Shield City. If they made a move here, it would definitely cause unnecessary trouble. The plan of the 2 7th grade Earth Sovereigns was simple. They would wait for the bloodthirsty wild wolf to move a little further before they attacked. Elder Yang, are you able to kill the 2 7th grade Earth Sovereigns without attracting any attention? Not long after leaving the North Gate, Ningyu contacted Yang Qiong. Ningyu's plan was simple. He would kill the 2 7th grade Earth Sovereigns and rescue the bloodthirsty wild wolf, a 5th grade Earth Sovereign. Yang Qiong did not directly reply to Ningyu. He first communicated with the other elders in the pagoda before replying, "It's just 2 7th grade Earth Sovereigns, it's not a problem." It's good that there's no problem. This matter must be done secretly. Don't attract the attention of the Jin family of Giant Shield City, Ningyu said in a low voice. If possible, I hope to capture them alive. It will be difficult to capture him alive, but we will do our best to capture him alive. Yang Qiong felt the pressure. It wouldn't be too difficult for him and the elders of Nebula Academy to kill 2 7th grade Earth Sovereigns. However, if they were to capture him alive, the difficulty would instantly soar. After all, capturing and killing were 2 completely different concepts. Try your best. Ningyu naturally knew the difficulty of capturing Yang Qiong alive, so he did not make things difficult for him. Rescuing the bloodthirsty wild wolf was the key, but capturing the 2 7th grade Earth Sovereigns was secondary. It was fine as long as he could kill them. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. North of Giant Shield City, in a dense forest dozens of miles away. Several figures flashed past, and in an instant, they were far away. Roar. Suddenly, the figure at the front stopped abruptly, and then he raised his head and roared. He said coldly, "Your ancestor has already agreed to let me go, so why are you still forcing me?" "You're forcing me?" Seeing the bloodthirsty berserk wolf stopping, the 2 7th grade Earth Sovereigns of the Jin clan also stopped. Amongst them, the long-haired 7th grade Earth Sovereign raised his brows and eerily said, "The ancestor never intended to let you guys go. Right now, you have 2 choices. First, stay here obediently. Second, die. Even if I self-destruct, I will never let you have your way." The bloodthirsty wild wolf's face was extremely ugly as he said, "I might only be a 5th grade Earth Sovereign, but if I self-destruct, stop. Halfway through the bloodthirsty wild wolf's words, the long-haired 7th grade Earth Sovereign waved his hand and said, "There's something cruel that I didn't tell you. The seal in your body hasn't been completely removed, so your fate is still in the hands of the Jin clan." What? Hearing those words, the bloodthirsty frenzied wolf shrieked in disbelief. "Stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and choose. Do you want to stay here or die?" The long-haired 7th grade Earth Sovereign didn't care about the bloodthirsty wild wolf's reaction. His mission was clear. If the bloodthirsty wild wolf was willing to stay here, He would watch over it and let the short-haired 7th grade Earth Sovereign capture the other bloodthirsty wild wolf. If the bloodthirsty wild wolf didn't want to stay here, he would join forces with the short-haired 7th grade Earth Sovereign to kill the bloodthirsty wild wolf and capture the other bloodthirsty wild wolf. No matter which one it was, it posed no challenge to him. What if I don't choose either? Suddenly, the bloodthirsty wild wolf with the cultivation of 5th grade Earth Sovereign said indifferently, "What can you do to me? Did the sun rise from the west?" The bloodthirsty wild wolf's sudden words stunned the long-haired 7th grade Earth Sovereign. This was too illogical. The bloodthirsty wild wolf was clearly at a disadvantage and had no chance of escaping. Why did the bloodthirsty wild wolf say such words at this time? "I'll stand right here. If you're capable, you can come and find trouble with me." The bloodthirsty mad wolf seemed to have given up. With a leap, he landed on a towering tree nearby and closed his eyes to rest. "Kill." The long-haired man let out a low roar and immediately charged at the bloodthirsty wild wolf. In the long-haired man's view, the bloodthirsty wild wolf didn't have any trump cards. The reason why he acted this way was to stall for time and find a way to escape. Would the long-haired man give him a chance? The answer was obviously no. The long-haired man was so fast that he arrived beside the bloodthirsty wild wolf in the blink of an eye. He clenched his right fist and punched at the bloodthirsty wild wolf's head. At the same time, the long-haired man said sinisterly, "I'd like to see what you're capable of to be so arrogant." Whoosh! In a flash, a strange change occurred. The void beside the bloodthirsty wild wolf suddenly split open and several figures appeared. Upon closer inspection, the figure at the front was none other than Nebula Academy's Yang Qiong. As an 8th grade Earth Sovereign, the moment Yang Qiong appeared, he launched a barrage of attacks at the long-haired man. As for the rest of the figures, they all charged towards the short-haired man and surrounded him. "Who are you people? How dare you attack us?" The long-haired man said coldly, "We're from the Jin family, and the experts of the Jin family are in Giant Shield City. As long as I roar, the experts of the Jin family will immediately come." In fact, the long-haired man was also very afraid. In fact, his heart was filled with terror. The reason why he had waited until now to attack the bloodthirsty wild wolf was because he was far from Giant Shield City. If he attacked here, the people in Giant Shield City wouldn't notice. Now, he had shot himself in the foot. Noisy. A cold light shot out from Yang Qiong's eyes. His mission was to capture the long-haired man alive, not to listen to the long-haired man's roar. After letting out a low roar, Yang Qiong began to use his killer move. The reason why Yang Qiong used his killer move wasn't because he wanted to kill the long-haired man, but to intimidate him and make him panic. Only by making the long-haired man panic could he capture him alive. Otherwise, he could only kill him. While Yang Qiong and the long-haired man were fighting, Ningyu tore through the void and appeared before the bloodthirsty wild wolf. Seeing Ningyu appear, the bloodthirsty wild wolf revealed an ecstatic expression and hurriedly said, "Don't speak. I'll help you break the seal in your body." Chapter 1495. Questioning so serious. Hearing Ningyu's words, the bloodthirsty mad wolf opened its mouth wide and hurriedly said, "Please help me break the seal in my body no matter what. I will do my best to cooperate. If you don't do anything, you'll be cooperating with me the most." Ningyu took a deep breath, his brows slightly solemn as he said, "The seal in your body is a bit special. I only have a 50% chance of breaking it." Because of Ningyu's words, the bloodthirsty mad wolf kept its mouth shut and no longer spoke. In fact, when he left the north gate of Giant Shield City, he had already received BADA's voice transmission. At that time, BADA had told him to run far away and that someone would come to rescue him. He had thought that there would be an expert coming to rescue him, but he did not expect that the person who came would be Ningyu. Moreover, Ningyu was helping him break the seal in his body. The Jin clan really has a deep understanding of the Tao of seals. Ningyu placed his hands on the bloodthirsty mad wolf's back and felt the changes in the seal in its body. His face could not help but turn gloomy. If it was the previous seal, Ningyu could break it in at most 10 minutes. But the current seal, even if Ningyu used all his strength, it would still take half an hour to break it. Drip. Time passed. While Ning Yu was breaking the seal in the bloodthirsty mad wolf's body, the battlefield was divided into two. Yang Qiong against the long-haired man, the rest of the Nebula Academy elders against the short-haired man. The battle continued to erupt, and the flames of war even spread to Ning Yu's side. Fortunately, Ning Yu was cautious. As long as the flames of war spread to his side, he would bring the bloodthirsty mad wolf to another position. Puff! After more than 10 times of shifting positions, the bloodthirsty mad wolf finally spat out a mouthful of blood and the seal in its body was completely broken. Puff! Puff! Just as the seal in the bloodthirsty mad wolf's body was broken, the long-haired man and the short-haired man were both captured. Ning Yu, we need to enter the Tower of Yuzuan to recuperate. In order to capture the long-haired and short-haired men, Yang Qiong and the others paid the price in blood. As an 8th grade Earth Sovereign, Yang Qiong's situation was slightly better. However, the other elders of the Nebula Academy were heavily injured. Hence, after capturing the long-haired and short-haired men, Yang Qiong directly suggested to Ning Yu that he wanted to enter the Tower of Yuzu to recuperate. Open! Ning Yu did not waste any time and directly opened the Tower of Yuzuan, letting Yang Qiong and the rest enter. Xiu! Xiu! Just before Yang Qiong entered the Tower of Yuzuan, 2 wisps of soul force shot out from his sleeves and flew towards Ning Yu. Ning Yu reacted quickly and caught the 2 wisps of soul force firmly. As soon as he received the 2 wisps of soul power, Ning Yu felt that he had established a deep connection with the long-haired man and the short-haired man. This feeling was very subtle. It seemed that as long as he willed it, the long-haired man and the short-haired man could lose their lives at any moment. Who are you? Although his life and death was in Ning Yu's hands, the long-haired man did not completely compromise. He coldly said, "You're tired of living to go against my Jin family." Crack! Ning Yu twisted his neck, making a cracking sound. "You don't seem to understand the situation." Ning Yu's tone was calm without any emotions. "You're a prisoner right now. As long as I'm willing, I can end your life at any moment. Don't think that I'm scared. If you dared to kill us, you would have done it long ago. Why would you wait until now?" The long-haired man was stubborn. He was sure that Ning Yu wouldn't kill them, so he was fearless. Would Ning Yu really not kill them? The answer was clearly no. In the next moment, Ning Yu flicked his wrist and detonated the long-haired man's soul force. Rumble. Soul force exploded, and the long-haired man felt as if his head was going to explode. Powerful shockwaves wreaked havoc in his head. In a moment of desperation, the long-haired man's pupils shrank. He pointed at Ning Yu with his right hand. He wanted to say something, but he only managed to spit out 2 words before falling to the ground. Plop. His body hit the ground with a plop. At this moment, the 7th grade Earth Sovereign of the Jin family, the long-haired man, died on the spot. Hiss. The long-haired man's death was a huge blow to the short-haired man. It made him understand that his life was no longer in his hand. Therefore, after taking a deep breath, the short-haired man chose to lay his cards on the table with Ning Yu. Since Ning Yu did not kill him immediately, it meant that Ning Yu wanted to get some information from him. In that case, it would give him an opportunity. "I'll ask you a few questions. If you can answer them honestly, I can consider sparing your life." Ning Yu would not waste time talking to the short-haired man. His time was precious. He still had to return to the North Gate after dealing with this matter. After all, Master Xing Yun and Fairy Yun she were not strong enough to guard the small array core. "Ask away. As long as I know, I'll tell you." After knowing his fate, the short-haired man calmed down. His calmness was a little frightening. The short-haired man's reaction was a little out of Ning Yu's expectations. Compared to the long-haired man, the short-haired man made Ning Yu look at him in a new light. "Does the Jin family have any more heavenly sovereigns?" Ning Yu asked after sorting out his thoughts. "No. The strongest in the Jin family is Jin Bo, an initial heavenly supreme. He's at the north gate of the giant shield city." The short-haired man answered without hesitation. "Does the Jin family have any more half-step heavenly sovereigns?" Ning Yu asked again. "Yes." Ning Yu's question was simple, and so was the short-haired man's answer. Unless it was absolutely necessary, The short-haired man did not want to reveal too much about the Jin family. If he revealed too much about the Jin family, even if he could escape, he would definitely be punished. The reason why the Jin family could become the royal family of the Qianye Empire was because of the strict family rules. Do you know the cultivation of the strongest expert sent by Emperor God Palace this time? Ning Yu originally wanted to launch a surprise attack on the Jin family of the Qianye Empire. But after hearing that the Jin family had a half-step heavenly sovereign, Ning Yu could only give up on that idea. Ning Yu knew that the Emperor Palace had also sent experts to attack the giant shield city. So he wanted to know how powerful the cultivators from the Emperor Palace were. The Emperor Palace is the same as our Jin family. On the surface, they only sent 4 cultivators, 1 heavenly sovereign, 1 pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereign, and 2 1st grade Earth sovereigns. But there are many 7th grade Earth sovereigns in the shadows. The short-haired man did not want to talk about the Jin family. But when it came to the Emperor Palace, the short-haired man revealed everything he knew. Chapter 1496. Chapter 1496. Chapter 1496 Healing Di Lingtian. Ning Yu's eyes widened and a solemn expression appeared on his face. Ning Yu more or less knew about the Emperor Divine Palace. Di Lingtian was the personal disciple of the Emperor Palace's old ancestor. Rumor had it that Di Lingtian was one of the 6 ultimate geniuses when he was in the human sovereign realm. Ning Yu was only one of the 5 ultimate geniuses in this life. Do you have any way to lure Di Lingtian out? Ning Yu began to plan in his mind. Logically speaking, there was no reason for the old ancestor of the Emperor Palace to bring Di Lingtian here for such a dangerous mission. After all, it was a battle between advanced Earth sovereigns. If Di Lingtian was not careful, he might die here. The reason why Di Lingtian would come over, there was only one explanation. That was that Di Lingtian came to train. If he encountered an advanced Earth sovereign, he wouldn't let Di Lingtian fight. But if he encountered a low Earth sovereign, he would kill him. The short-haired man shook his head and said solemnly, "There's a grade 9 Earth sovereign next to Di Lingtian. As long as a grade 5 or above Earth sovereign gets close to him, the grade 9 Earth sovereign will attack." Is that so? Ning Yu did not frown as he fell into deep thought. Ning Yu had already thought of a way to deal with the Jin family. But Ning Yu was still at a loss as to how to deal with the Emperor Palace. Both the Jin family and the Emperor Palace were hard to deal with. The Jin family had Jin Bo, a Sky Supreme, and the old ancestor of the Emperor Palace was also a Sky Supreme. If they acted rashly, it would be disastrous. Ning Yu pondered for a moment and said, "Tell me everything about your companion." What? The short-haired man was puzzled. He didn't know what Ning Yu was up to. What do you think I'm going to do? Ning Yu transformed into the long-haired man with a shake of his body. You. Ning Yu's sudden change stunned the short-haired man. He raised his right hand and pointed at Ning Yu, his face filled with disbelief. The reason why the short-haired man was shocked wasn't that Ning Yu had turned into a long-haired man, but the aura that Ning Yu was emitting had reached the 7th grade Earth sovereign realm. Pretending to be weak to eat the tiger? At this moment, the short-haired man was even more certain of his guess. Ning Yu was pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. His real strength had reached the 7th grade Earth sovereign realm. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and tell me about your companion's habits, as well as some of his hidden tricks. Ning Yu couldn't be bothered to explain to the short-haired man. He patted the short-haired man's shoulder and said, "As long as you do as I say, I promise I won't kill you." Shio. No one noticed that when Ning Yu patted the short-haired man's shoulder, a wisp of his soul force had quietly entered the short-haired man's body and hid within. That wisp of soul force was Ning Yu's main soul force. Using his main soul force to control the short-haired man was something that Ning Yu could be at ease with. Naturally, the short-haired man had no idea that Ning Yu had left his soul force in his body. He thought that Ning Yu had overexerted himself, causing his shoulder to swell. All right. At this moment, the short-haired man could only seriously explain to Ning Yu without hiding anything. While the short-haired man was seriously teaching, Ning Yu was also seriously learning. In less than half an hour, Ning Yu had finally grasped everything about the long-haired man. He could already perfectly imitate the long-haired man. If it wasn't for the fact that the short-haired man knew that Ningyu wasn't his companion, he would definitely mistake him for someone else. Shio. Just as Ningyu had perfectly imitated the long-haired man, a huge creature was galloping over from afar. Needless to say, it was definitely a bloodthirsty mad wolf. Buzz. Seeing the bloodthirsty mad wolf flying over, Ningyu's mind shook and he quickly transformed into his original form. Don't waste time. Hurry up and relax your mind. I'll help you break the seal in your body. Ningyu was swift and decisive. He first explained to the bloodthirsty mad wolf and then started to break the seal in its body. If it wasn't for the bloodthirsty mad wolf's request, Ningyu definitely wouldn't waste time here. After all, he didn't know what would happen at the giant shield city's north gate. Whether Master Xing Yun and Fairy Yun she could hold on was still unknown. The bloodthirsty mad wolf was very cooperative. After half an hour of Ningyu's full effort, the seal in the bloodthirsty mad wolf's body was finally broken. Swoosh, swoosh. After that, a bloodthirsty mad wolf would appear almost every 5 to 10 minutes. Ningyu didn't refuse any of them. He wholeheartedly helped these bloodthirsty mad wolves break the seal in their bodies. At first, Ningyu needed half an hour to break the seal in a bloodthirsty mad wolf's body. However, as time passed, Ningyu's speed of breaking the seal became faster and faster. In the end, he only needed a few minutes to break the seal in a bloodthirsty mad wolf's body. Whoosh! After breaking the seals within the bodies of 19 bloodthirsty mad wolves, Ningyu finally heaved a sigh of relief and relaxed a little. Including the bloodthirsty mad wolf at the beginning, Ningyu had broken the seal in a total of 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves in just a few hours. You guys go to the army on the East Road and find Mu Ping and Mu Hua. Tell them that I asked you to find them. After waiting for a while and seeing that no bloodthirsty mad wolves were coming this way, Ningyu began his next move. He took a deep breath and looked at the 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves. When you arrive at the army on the East Road, you have 2 tasks. First, cooperate with Mu Ping and Mu Hua to complete the task I gave them. Second, make sure that your companions don't die. Before Ningyu left the army on the East Road, he handed over the 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves to Mu Ping and Mu Hua so that they could cooperate with him perfectly. Strictly speaking, Ningyu wasn't very assured. After all, among the 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves left in the army on the East Road, more than a dozen of them still had their seals broken. This, however, was more dangerous. Therefore, Ningyu specifically ordered the 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves to protect their companions. Whether it was the bloodthirsty mad wolves here or the bloodthirsty mad wolves in the East Road, they were all at the Earth Supreme Realm, which was a rare fighting force. Ningyu knew that he was up against the Jin family and Divine Emperor Palace. Therefore, he planned to prepare his own forces after this crisis was over. In the Sky Demon region, without your own forces, you couldn't compete with some powerful sects no matter how strong you were. Of course, this was all in the future. What he needed to do now was to get through the crisis of Giant Shield City. Understood. The 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves answered in unison. They had already acknowledged Ningyu. After all, if it weren't for Ningyu, they would have been dead long ago. Whoosh! The 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves moved in unison and rushed toward the army on the East Road from the other side. Chapter 1497. Back to North Gate. What's your name? After dealing with the bloodthirsty mad wolf, Ningyu let out a long sigh and wiped the sweat off his forehead. He turned to the short-haired man and said, "Also, what's the name of your companion?" Just now, Ningyu was only concerned about the habits of the long-haired man and did not have the time to ask for their names. Now that he had to return to the north gate of Giant Shield City, Ningyu naturally had to handle everything well. He could not afford to make too many mistakes. Otherwise, his plan this time might fall short of success. In order to successfully resolve Giant Shield City's predicament, Ningyu had started to make arrangements the moment he arrived at the army on the Eastern Road. This situation had already reached the most crucial point, and Ningyu did not want to fail at the last moment. "My name is Huang Jiqiong," the short-haired man hurriedly said. "The long-haired man is called Huang Jijian." Huang Jiqiong, Huang Jijian. All right, let's go. Ningyu secretly memorized the short-haired man's and his name. Then, he moved and rushed toward the north gate of Giant Shield City. Xiu. Huang Jiqiong didn't want to go back at all, but he had to obey Ning Yu's order. Huang Jiqiong had no choice but to follow closely behind Ning Yu and fly toward the north gate of Giant Shield City. Puchi. At the same time, at the north gate of Giant Shield City, Grandmaster Xingyun suddenly spat out a mouthful of dark red blood. His face became somewhat pale. The self-destruction of 20 bloodthirsty berserk wolves put Master Xingyun and Fairy Yun Shi in an extremely dangerous situation. However, Fairy Yun Shi had the 100 Flowers fan, so his situation was a little better than Master Xingyun. Ha ha ha, Grandmaster Xingyun, as long as you open the small formation core and hand over the Tower of You, I will spare your life. Outside the north gate, Jin Bo looked at the heavily injured Master Xingyun with a cold expression on his face. He laughed wildly and said, "Otherwise, I will let you know why flowers are so red." Pooh. Grandmaster Xingyun spat out a mouthful of saliva and said coldly, "If you have the ability, you can break the small formation core yourself. As long as I am here, you can forget about breaking the small formation core for the rest of your life. Don't even think about breaking it." Jin Bo seemed to have heard the funniest joke in the world. The corners of his mouth curled up, and he sinisterly said, 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves are just the appetizer, Bada. Whoosh. As Jin Bo's words rang out, all the martial artists in the area shifted their gazes towards Bada. Apart from the 20 bloodthirsty wild wolves that had left and the 20 bloodthirsty wild wolves that had self-destructed, there was only one bloodthirsty wild wolf left in the area. It was the leader of the bloodthirsty wild wolves, Bada. Bada wasn't an ordinary bloodthirsty wolf. Not only was he the leader of the bloodthirsty wolves, but his cultivation had also reached the pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign realm. It could be said that the self-destruction of the previous 20 bloodthirsty berserk wolves was not as powerful as Bada's self-destruction. Bada was Jin Bo's final trump card. You actually want a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign to self-destruct here? Seeing Bada slowly walking out, Master Xingyun's face was filled with disbelief. If a 9th grade Earth Sovereign were to self-detonate here, there was a high possibility that the small array core would be destroyed. However, there was a higher possibility that the shockwave would spread out and affect Jin Bo's own people. I know what you're thinking. Jin Bo shrugged and waved his sleeves. In an instant, a scroll appeared in his hand. Waving the scroll in his hand, Jin Bo said, "This is an ancient scroll with extremely powerful defensive capabilities. Not to mention the self-destruction of a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign, it can even withstand the self-destruction of a heavenly sovereign." Can it really withstand the self-destruction of a heavenly sovereign? Hearing that, Master Xingyun and Fairy Yun Shi's hearts jolted. For some reason, they hoped that Bada would attack the small array core instead. That's because when Bada attacked the small array core, Jin Bo would definitely bring out the ancient scroll to block it. Thus, they would have one less life-saving method. Master Xingyun and Fairy Yun Shi had already prepared for the worst. That was, if the small array core was destroyed, Jin Bo and the rest would rush into the Giant Shield City. Therefore, Master Xingyun and Fairy Yun Shi had left their trump card in the space near the small array core. The trump card that Master Xingyun and Fairy Yun Shi had left behind was none other than Tuor He. Tuor He was a bona fide Sky Supreme expert. There was still a huge difference between the self-destruction of a heavenly sovereign and the self-destruction of a 9th grade Earth Sovereign. It could be said that the self-destruction of 10 9th grade Earth Sovereigns could not compare to the self-destruction of a heavenly sovereign. Jin Bo curled his lips and said in disdain, "Even if 100 8th grade Earth Sovereigns like you self-destructed at the same time, it would still be able to withstand it." As he spoke, Jin Bo saw that Bada was still standing there in a daze. He couldn't help but fly into a rage. "Bada, what are you still standing there for? I've already been merciful enough to you. Only I would be so merciful to 20 bloodthirsty berserk wolves." Bada was already prepared to self-destruct. However, Bada did not want to self-destruct at the small array core. Instead, he wanted to self-destruct on the spot. Therefore, no matter how Jin Bo shouted, Bada remained indifferent. Buzz. In the next instant, Bada's body began to swell, becoming bigger and bigger. Not good, he's going to self-destruct here. Seeing Bada's actions, Meng Quan and the rest exclaimed, Jin Bo, I don't care what method you use. Just hurry up and stop him. You must make him stop. Don't make a fuss. Everything is under my control. Jin Bo was very calm, so calm that it was a little scary. The reason why Jin Bo was so calm was because of the Jin family's seal in Bada's body. As long as Jin Bo was unwilling, Bada could not self-destruct no matter what. Bada, since you refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit, I can only teach you a lesson. The corner of Jin Bo's lips rose as he shouted, Huang Jiqiong, Huang Zijian, come out and tell Bada where the other 20 bloodthirsty berserk wolves are. Whoosh. As Jin Bo's voice rang out, the void trembled. Then, Huang Jiqiong, Ning Yu, and the rest appeared in everyone's sight. The other 20 bloodthirsty berserk wolves are already under our control. As long as you give the order, I will immediately bring them over. The one who spoke was none other than Huang Zijian, also known as Ning Yu. Ning Yu was not nervous at all. Instead, he spoke in a logical manner. Very good, the two of you have done well. Don't let the 20 bloodthirsty berserk wolves come over for the time being. Jin Bo nodded. He was very satisfied with Ning Yu and Huang Jiqiong's actions. Jin Bo was satisfied, but Bada was finished. Hearing Ning Yu's words, Bada's entire body trembled. Bada had thought that Jin Bo would play tricks, and he had a backup plan. He had asked Ning Yu to help rescue the 20 bloodthirsty berserk wolves. Now, it seemed that Ning Yu should have failed and might even be killed. Chapter 1498. Chapter 1498. Chapter 1498. Strike with all your might, Bada. What do you think? Do you want to consider it? Jin Bo stared at Bada with interest and said, It's completely worth it to exchange your life for the lives of 20 bloodthirsty berserk wolves. What a good plan. Bada's expression was extremely gloomy. As the leader of the bloodthirsty wild wolves, he was unable to ensure the safety of the bloodthirsty wild wolves. He felt extremely guilty. However, Bada was not a fool. He knew very well that even if he really used self-destruction to blast the small formation eye, he would definitely not be able to exchange for the safety of the other 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves. From the beginning, Bada had never pinned his hopes on Jin Bo. He placed all of his hopes on Ning Yu. Whether or not Ning Yu succeeded would determine whether or not the bloodthirsty mad wolf could survive. Now, it seemed that the situation was a bit beyond his imagination. You don't want to consider it? Jin Bo's face instantly darkened. Jin Bo did not want to waste his breath with Bada here. With a thought, he began to control the seal in Bada's body. Under Jin Bo's control, Bada let out a hysterical scream. Ningbo was in control, and so was Bada. At this moment, Bada had thoroughly displayed his strength as a pinnacle 9th-grade Earth Sovereign. If it were any other Earth Supremes, they would have long since collapsed. But Bada was still struggling to hold on. Sho. Seeing Bada's pained expression, Ning Yu felt that he should do something. Ning Yu rolled his eyes and quickly came up with a countermeasure. Giving Huang Jiqiong a meaningful look, Ning Yu walked towards Jin Kitchen step by step. Soon, Ning Yu came to Jin Kitchen's side. Elder, should we send those 20 wolves back to the Jin clan first? Ning Yu looked around and said in a low voice, Just now, many elders of the Jin family sent me a message, asking me to leave 1 or 2 bloodthirsty mad wolves for them. Nonsense. Hearing Ning Yu's words, Jin Kitchen was so angry that his nose became crooked. These bloodthirsty berserk wolves were his exclusive property. Those elders who were enjoying their lives in the Jin family actually wanted to fight with him for the bloodthirsty mad wolf. What a fool's dream. Snorting coldly, Jin Kitchen said in a deep voice, Unless old ancestor Jin Bo says something, you better stay here. Don't give those 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves to anyone. All right. Ning Yu nodded with a helpless look on his face. At this moment, Ning Yu vividly displayed his identity. He hovered between the Jin family elders and Jin Kitchen, not daring to offend either of them. Ning Yu's words successfully attracted Jin Kitchen's attention, making Jin Kitchen's thoughts focus on the 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves. Explode. At this moment, Jinbo roared from afar. Rumble. As Jinbo's roar rang out, a sky-shaking sound suddenly rang out. What happened? After the loud noise, Jinbo was a little stunned, even a little confused. This was because Jinbo realized that Bada in front of him hadn't self-destructed. Bada did not self-destruct, so who was the one who self-destructed? Not good. It's Huang Jiqiong. As the old ancestor of the Jin family, Jinbo quickly reacted. Someone did self-destruct, but it wasn't Bada, it was the 7th grade Earth Sovereign, Huang Jiqiong. Although the power of a 7th grade Earth Sovereign self-destruction wasn't big, Jin Kitchen and the 2 1st grade Earth Sovereigns were together with Huang Jiqiong. At such a close distance, even if Jin Kitchen exerted all his strength to resist, it would be hard for him to resist. Puff. Puff. Without a doubt, under the impact of Huang Jiqiong's self-destruction, the 2 1st grade Earth Sovereigns of the Jin family, Jin Ku and Jin Yang, both suffered serious injuries. As for Jin Kitchen, his situation was a little better. However, at such a close distance, Jin Kitchen was only slightly better than Jin Ku and Jin Yang. He also suffered serious injuries. His aura had dropped from the peak 9th grade Earth Sovereign to the initial 9th grade Earth Sovereign, and it was still dropping. This is infuriating. Jin Kitchen was in a state of rage. Being injured by one of his own, Jin Kitchen would lose all his face. Who the hell told me what the hell is going on? Jin Kitchen roared like a madman. Finally, his eyes stopped on Ningyu. Huang Zhijian, come here. Jin Kitchen roared, extremely angry. Elder, this matter has nothing to do with me. I don't know what the hell is going on. Ningyu looked very frightened, even his whole body was trembling. Open your mind, let me check. Jin Kitchen's mind moved, and in an instant, his perception surged into Ningyu's mind and began to check. On the surface, Ningyu's body was trembling, but in fact, he was very excited. The plan was going well. Huang Jiqiong's self-destruction had seriously injured Jin Kitchen. At this time, as long as he suddenly attacked, he could definitely kill Jin Kitchen. However, Ningyu didn't plan to attack now. He was waiting for an opportunity. If he attacked now, there was a 50% chance of killing Jin Kitchen, but he had no way to escape. What Ningyu wanted to do was to kill Jin Kitchen and escape unscathed. The key to the success of this matter was on Jinbo. Swish. When Jin Kitchen was checking Ningyu, Jinbo was also using his perception to check Ningyu. Fortunately, Ningyu's performance was very logical, which added a lot of points for him. Otherwise, Jinbo and Jin Kitchen would definitely take him down. Is there really no problem? After checking Ningyu for 3 minutes, Jinbo and Jin Kitchen retracted their perception. In the hearts of Jinbo and Jin Kitchen, such a sentence arose at the same time. They didn't find anything in Ningyu's body. In other words, Ningyu couldn't self-destruct, so there was no problem. Come here, I'll check again. Jin Kitchen didn't believe it. He waved his hand at Ningyu and said, no one can make trouble under my eyes. If I find out, I'll kill without mercy. Ningyu walked towards Jin Kitchen while secretly paying attention to Jinbo's movements. As long as Jinbo relaxed a little, he would kill Jin Kitchen with all his strength. For the people of the Jin family, if he could kill one, it was one. Ningyu would never be soft-hearted. Elder Yang, inject all your power into my body. I want to kill Jin Kitchen in one move. To ensure that nothing went wrong, Ningyu also secretly contacted Yang Qiong. After a period of recovery, Yang Qiong had returned to his peak state. Yang Qiong was an 8th grade Earth Supreme. With his help, Ningyu didn't believe that Jin Kitchen could survive. 3 more steps, 2 more steps. While moving forward, Ningyu secretly counted his steps. Next step, attack. When he was 1 step away from Jin Kitchen, Ningyu clenched his right fist and fiercely punched at Jin Kitchen's head. Buzz. With Yang Qiong's help, the power of Ningyu's punch was extremely powerful. Chapter 1499. Killing Jin Kitchen. Not good. Jin Kitchen was truly a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign. Even if he was heavily injured, his perception was still powerful. When Ningyu's fist arrived before him, he immediately reacted and dodged to the side. However, it was already too late for him to dodge. Ningyu's fist brought along a violent gale as it slammed against Jin Kitchen's head. Boom! Jin Kitchen's head exploded with brain juice splattering out. Let's go. Ningyu did not hesitate after his attack succeeded. He immediately tore open the void and flew towards Master Xingyun and Fairy Yunxi. The sudden change had caused Jinbo and the rest to widen their eyes as they stood on the spot with dumbfounded expressions. He couldn't believe that Jin Kitchen was actually killed. One must know that Jin Kitchen was a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign, the main force of the Jin family. The Jin family had suffered great losses in the Void Realm and Nebula Academy. Now that another pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign had died, the Jin family's strength had dropped by a fifth. Go! Capture Huang Zhijian. After a brief daze, Jinbo roared as he charged towards Ningyu. Jinbo was enraged to the extreme. Jinbo had immediately unleashed the aura of a heavenly sovereign to suppress Ningyu. As Ningyu moved forth, he did not forget to turn around and look at Jinbo with a cold smile. Huang Zhijian, open your eyes and see who I am. I don't care who you are, you'll have to, what? In the beginning, Jinbo did not listen to Ningyu's words, since his words were filled with coldness. But when he saw Ningyu's appearance, he was instantly startled. Ningyu was someone that their Jin family was after. If it wasn't for Ningyu causing trouble in the Nebula Academy, the Ascension Pagoda would have long been theirs. Now that he saw Ningyu's true colors, Jinbo was so angry that his nose became crooked. If he had known about Ningyu's identity, he would have captured Ningyu immediately and snatched the Tower of Yuzu from Ningyu. Grandmaster Xingyun, hurry up and open the small formation eye. I want to go there. While Jinbo was in a daze, Ningyu hurriedly contacted Master Xingyun. He wanted to ask Master Xingyun to open the small formation core. Whether Ningyu could successfully enter Giant Shield City or not depended on whether Master Xingyun was willing to help. Open. Master Xingyun was not an indecisive person. He immediately opened a small formation eye and opened a door to Giant Shield City for Ningyu. Bada, come with me. Before entering Giant Shield City, Ningyu did not forget to help Bada. No matter what, Bada was a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign. As long as the seal on Bada was removed, his strength would be terrifying. Thank you. Bada knew that Ningyu was helping him, so he only replied briefly before focusing on controlling the seal in his body. He did not want to be controlled by Jinbo to self-destruct after entering Giant Shield City. Relax your mind. I can stabilize the seal in your body. If you help someone, you should help them to the end. Since Ningyu had decided to help Bada, he would not give up halfway. Since he had helped more than 20 bloodthirsty mad wolves break the seal in their bodies, Ningyu had a deeper understanding of the Jin family's seal. Ningyu separated a wisp of soul force and entered Bada's body. It only took a few seconds for Ningyu to control the seal in Bada's body. At this time, no matter how hard Jinbo tried, he could not stop Bada from self-destructing. This is so infuriating. On one hand, he could not catch up to Ningyu, and on the other hand, he could not activate the seal in Bada's body. As the Jin family's old ancestor, Jinbo had never been so angry before. Jinbo, you have to rely on our Emperor Palace for this. Seeing that Ningyu was about to enter Giant Shield City with Bada, a figure suddenly appeared around them. Then, the old ancestor of Emperor Palace suddenly appeared next to Ningyu and tried to grab Ningyu's head with his fist. The old ancestor of Emperor Palace had the cultivation of an early-stage Heaven Supreme. He was extremely powerful. In Emperor Palace, this old ancestor's combat power was enough to rank in the top 5. Phew. Seeing that the old ancestor of Emperor Palace had made a move, Jinbo heaved a sigh of relief. The worry between his eyebrows eased a little. At such a close distance, the old ancestor of Emperor Palace had attacked with all his might. Could Ningyu resist it? The answer was obviously no. However, it did not matter if Ningyu could not resist it. Someone would block it for Ningyu. 100-flower fan. Yunxi Fairy held the 100-flower fan in her hand. In the blink of an eye, she tore the void and appeared outside Giant Shield City. You guys go first. I'll hold them off. Yunxi did not waste any time with Ningyu. She controlled the 100-flower fan and shot out a beam of light that enveloped Ningyu and Bada before throwing them towards the small array core. Sizzle. Sizzle. The speed of the beam of light was extremely fast. Almost in an instant, Ningyu and Bada had entered Giant Shield City. Rumble. Ningyu's group had entered Giant Shield City, but Yunshi was obstructed by many experts. Jinbo, the old ancestor of Emperor Palace, Meng Quan, Southern Dipper Venerable, Northern Dipper Venerable, and several other 9th-grade Earth Sovereigns had all made their moves. They wanted to kill Yunshi. Ha ha ha, you can wear out iron shoes in fruitless searching, only to find it by chance. Jinbo raised his head and laughed maniacally. An extremely vicious expression appeared on his face. Compared to Yunshi, Ningyu and Bada were not that attractive. Ningyu had the Tower of Ascension, but Yunshi had the 100-flower fan. The 100-flower fan was a supreme treasure amongst supreme treasures. It wasn't any weaker than the Tower of Ascension. It would be a wonderful thing if they could obtain the 100-flower fan. Jinbo, your main goal has always been the Yuzuan Pagoda. After you get the 100-flower fan, I promise to help you snatch the Yuzuan Pagoda. The Emperor Divine Palace's old ancestor started to set a trap for Jinbo because he wanted the 100-flower fan. The 100-flower fan isn't any weaker than the Tower of Ascension. What a good plan. Jinbo coldly snorted. He did not give a definite answer to the old ancestor of Emperor Palace. Stop fighting. The 100-flower fan is mine. No one can snatch it from me. Meng Quan had not made a move during this period of time. Now that Yunshi had come out with the 100-flower fan, Meng Quan felt that his chance had come. He made up his mind to obtain the 100-flower fan no matter what. Swish. Therefore, Meng Quan did not waste any time. He immediately made a move and charged towards Yunshi. 100 flower blossoms. Seeing Meng Quan approaching her, Yunshi's expression was extremely solemn. She waved the 100-flower fan in her hand repeatedly. Instantly, the void split apart. Thousands of flower petals appeared and attacked Meng Quan from all directions. Child's play. Meng Quan did not care about the flower petals that Yunshi had unleashed. Meng Quan waved his sleeves. In an instant, countless orbs of light shot out from his sleeves. These orbs were not too big. They were only the size of a fist. Chapter 1500. Plot. Sizzle. The sphere of light and the petal came into contact, emitting sizzling sounds at the same time. In the next moment, the petal and the sphere of light disappeared. So powerful. Seeing Meng Quan's powerful strength, Jinbo and the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace were astonished. They knew that Meng Quan was strong, but they didn't expect him to be this strong. With the cultivation of a half-step Sky Supreme, he wasn't at a disadvantage against Fairy Yunshi, who had the 100-flower fan. It was difficult for them to achieve such strength. Grandmaster Xingyun, I'll give you the Yuzuan Pagoda. Hurry up and open the small array core to let Fairy Yunshi in. In Giant Shield City, Ningyu didn't hide anything and directly handed the Yuzuan Pagoda to Grandmaster Xingyun. Fairy Yunshi was the strongest expert in Giant Shield City. If she was captured alive, it would greatly affect the morale of Giant Shield City. No rush. Taking the Yuzuan Pagoda, Grandmaster Xingyun said solemnly, Fairy Yunshi is playing a big game. Now that you've brought the Yuzuan Pagoda here, it's coming to an end. Alright, you guys do what you need to do. I'll help Bada break the seal. Ningyu knew that Grandmaster Xingyun definitely had his reasons for doing this. Therefore, Ningyu didn't waste time with Grandmaster Xingyun. Instead, he went to Bada's side and placed his hands on Bada's back, starting to break the seal. The seal in Bada's body was very serious. Under normal circumstances, Ningyu only needed 10-odd minutes to break the seal in a bloodthirsty wild wolf's body. But if Ningyu wanted to break the seal in Bada's body, he would need at least an hour. Because the seal in Bada's body was different from the other bloodthirsty wild wolves' seals. Relax your mind, don't resist. Ningyu's hands were tightly on Bada's back, and strands of energy flowed into Bada's body. Fart. The moment Ningyu's energy entered Bada's body, Bada spat out a mouthful of blood and his face turned pale. I can still hold on. Bada gritted his teeth. Bada knew very well that Ningyu was helping him, so no matter how painful it was, he had to endure it. Hold on for 1 hour. Ningyu's expression was solemn. He was highly focused and did not dare to be careless. Whether or not he could break the seal in Bada's body was a matter of great importance. Ningyu did not dare to be careless. Rumble. In Giant Shield City, Ningyu helped Bada break the seal in his body. Outside Giant Shield City, Fairy Yun she was fighting with Meng Quan. Time was always slipping away inadvertently. In the blink of an eye, half an hour had passed. Whoosh. Half an hour later, another figure joined the battlefield outside Giant Shield City. Jin Bo. The Jin family's ancestor, Jin Bo, finally could not endure it any longer and joined in the attack on Fairy Yun Shi. Whoosh. 20 minutes later, the ancestral patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace also joined the battle. At this point, Fairy Yun she had already exchanged blows with 3 martial practitioners. The patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace, Jin Bo, Meng Quan. Fairy Yun she felt a lot of pressure fighting with 3 experts at the same time. Fairy Yun Shi, why don't I open a small formation eye and you come back quickly? Seeing that Fairy Yun she could not hold on any longer, Grandmaster Xingyun said hurriedly. There's one more step. I can still hold on. Fairy Yun she did not want the plan to fail at the last moment. She clenched her teeth. If this plan succeeded, the crisis of Giant Shield City would be resolved in one go. Therefore, Fairy Yun she still wanted to hold on, 10 minutes at most. Grandmaster Xingyun's expression was solemn as he said in a deep voice, I suspect that if you act rashly, you might attract the attention of those people. They should not appear. I know. Let's wait for a few more minutes. How could Fairy Yun she not know that? However, she still wanted to wait. Buzz buzz. At the same time, in the void not far away, the 2 martial practitioners' lips curled up at the same time. One of the martial practitioners wearing a bamboo hat said, This Fairy Yun she is indeed someone who can control the 100-flower fan. She is very strong. Why, have you taken a fancy to her? The other martial practitioner in a black robe said sinisterly, I have to remind you that Tuor he is still in her hands. If you act now, she might make Tuor he self-destruct to injure you. Don't worry. How could I not know that? The bamboo hat man waved his hand and said, Let Meng Quan and the rest test Fairy Yun she's strength first. I won't act today. It's good that you won't act. The time is not ripe yet. The martial practitioner in a black robe nodded and then fell silent. Rumble. The conversation between the martial practitioner in a black robe and the bamboo hat man in the void did not attract the attention of Fairy Yun Shi and Meng Quan. At this time, the battle between Fairy Yun Shi and Meng Quan had reached its climax. 3 against 1. Fairy Yun Shi was at an absolute disadvantage. After another 20 minutes, even the Southern Dipper Venerable and the Northern Dipper Venerable joined the battle. 1 against 3, Fairy Yun she could still rely on the 100-flower fan to defend herself. However, 1 against 5, or even 1 against 10, Fairy Yun she finally could not hold on any longer. She spat out a mouthful of blood. Fart. After spitting out the blood, Fairy Yun she's aura dropped rapidly. Retreat. Feeling Fairy Yun she's aura drop, Grandmaster Xingyun, who was in Giant Shield City, hurriedly shouted. Swoosh. Fairy Yun she was not an indecisive person. She quickly displayed her trump card of the 100-flower fan and forced the Southern Dipper Venerable and the rest to retreat. Then, she rushed toward the small array eye. If they wanted to enter Giant Shield City now, they could only go through the small array eye. There was no other way. Go after her. Seeing Fairy Yun Shi retreat, Jin Bo and the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace were the first to rush after her. As for Meng Quan, he stayed where he was and did not chase after her. Meng Quan was a peak grade 9 elixir refinement master, and his soul power was very strong. Just now, he sensed some disappointment between Fairy Yun Shi's brows. Through the change in Fairy Yun Shi's expression, Meng Quan's heart skipped a beat. He vaguely felt that something was wrong. Therefore, Meng Quan did not chase after her. He resolutely chose to stay where he was. Open the array eye. Fairy Yun, she was very fast. In the blink of an eye, she arrived before the small array eye and entered it. Retreat quickly. At that moment, the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace and Jin Bo, who were chasing after them, reacted and quickly retreated. However, it was obviously too late for them to retreat now. All of a sudden, a terrifying devouring power emerged from the small array eye. The devouring power was so powerful that it sucked the right legs of the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace and Jin Bo into it in the blink of an eye. Crack. The Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace was a ruthless person. Gritting his teeth, he turned his right fist into a palm and slashed at his right leg. A crisp sound was heard. The Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace's right leg was cut off by himself. With his right leg broken, the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace took advantage of the short window of time to retreat and avoid being devoured by the small array eye. The Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace managed to escape, but Jin Bo was not so lucky. Under the terrifying devouring power that erupted from the small array eye, he was completely sucked in. Chapter 1501. Chapter 1501. Chapter 1501 Leadership Patriarch. Outside Giant Shield City, when the Jin family's warriors saw Jin Bo being sucked into the Tower of Ascension, they immediately revealed looks of horror. Jin Bo was the strongest expert in the Jin family, an early-stage Sky Supreme. Jin Bo had played a crucial role in the Jin family's success in the Qianya Empire and becoming a force on par with the Emperor Divine Palace. If Jin Bo was caught, it would be a disaster for the Jin family. Please save the old ancestor. You must save the old ancestor from the Tower of Yu. The Jin family's martial artists set their sights on Meng Quan. Although Meng Quan's cultivation was only at the quasi-heavenly sovereign realm, he was powerful, and he could be said to be the strongest expert in the 100 Flowers City. Asking Meng Quan for help was the best choice. All of you, behave yourselves. I'm trying to think of a way. Meng Quan did not directly refuse the warriors of the Jin family. His face was solemn as he secretly thought of a countermeasure. At first, Meng Quan thought that Master Xingyun couldn't control the Tower of Ascension. Now, it seemed that he was indeed a little too young. Not only could Grandmaster Xingyun control the Tower of Yuzuan, but he could also use it to fight against his enemies. Meng Quan knew better than anyone else that the suction force emitted from the small array core came from the Tower of the Supremacy of Yu. Fairy Yun Shi with the Yu by Flower Fan was already hard enough to deal with. Now that Master Xingyun also had the Tower of Yuzuan, he felt a lot of pressure. Voila! At this moment, the void suddenly split open, and two figures appeared in front of everyone. The man wearing the bamboo hat and the black-robed cultivator. After the two of them appeared, they first stared at the Tower of Yuzuan and the Fan of 100 Flowers, then said solemnly, "I'll give you half an hour. After half an hour, I hope to see you attack Giant Shield City." The bamboo-hatted man and the black-robed martial artist's attitude was very firm. There was no room for negotiation. Breaking through the small formation core and entering Giant Shield City was the most basic condition. They even hoped that Meng Quan and the others would snatch the Tower of Ascension and the 100 Flowers Fan. There's no way we can break into Giant Shield City in half an hour. Before Meng Quan and the rest could speak, a middle-rank Earth Sovereign shook his head. The 9th-grade Earth Sovereign's name was Deng Bin, an elder of the Emperor Palace. The reason why Deng Bin would refute the bamboo-hatted man and the black-robed martial artist was that the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace's right leg was broken and his strength had decreased significantly. If they wanted to attack Giant Shield City within half an hour, every expert would have to give it their all. Deng Bin felt that he should buy some time for the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace, at least for a few hours. "We can't break into Giant Shield City in half an hour." The black-robed martial artist's tone was calm, and it was impossible to tell if he was happy or angry. However, from the expression of the black-robed martial artist, one could vaguely see that he was angry, but he was deliberately restraining himself. Difficult. At this point, Deng Bin had no other choice, and he could only grit his teeth and say, "But it's not impossible." But what? The black-robed martial artist said in a deep voice. "I want Meng Quan and the others to be the vanguard, and the Patriarch of the Emperor Divine Palace will be the last to attack," Deng Bin said reluctantly. Very good, you know how to bargain with me. The black-robed martial artist nodded slightly, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He said sinisterly, you might have forgotten your identity. You're a dog that we raised. Whatever I tell you to do, you have to do. Now that the dog has disobeyed me, I can only say sorry. Hearing that, Deng Bin's heart skipped a beat, and he faintly felt that something was wrong. Bang! Unfortunately, the moment Deng Bin felt that something was wrong, his pupils constricted. The black-robed martial artist dashed out instantly, clenched his right fist, and punched Deng Bin's chest hard. The huge force that came from Deng Bin's chest sent him flying several feet away, and he fell heavily on the ground. The black-robed martial artist only wanted to establish his authority, so he did not kill Deng Bin. Attack Giant Shield City in half an hour. Sweeping his gaze across Meng Quan and the others, the black-robed martial artist pointed at Deng Bin, who had fallen on the ground, and said in a deep voice, otherwise, his outcome will be the same as yours. Swoosh! The black-robed martial artist's words set off a storm in the hearts of Meng Quan and the others. Originally, Meng Quan and the others thought that the black-robed martial artist was just an ordinary Sky Supreme, and his strength was not much different from theirs. It was just that his identity was a little special. But from the looks of it now, they knew that they were wrong, and very wrong. The black-robed martial artist's cultivation was indeed at the Sky Supreme, but not at the early stage, but the middle stage. If a middle-stage Sky Supreme wanted to kill them, it would be a piece of cake. Go! After pondering for a moment, Meng Quan and the others moved in unison, each unleashing powerful attacks at the small array core. Meng Quan, the ancestor of Divine Emperor Palace, the Southern Dipper Venerable, the Northern Dipper Venerable, and the other high-level Earth Sovereigns did not hold back. They knew very well that the black-robed martial artist was not joking. If they really could not break through the small array core in half an hour, they definitely could not bear the consequences. Rumble! A series of powerful spells were launched at the small formation core from all directions. Under the bombardment of so many powerful spells, the void around the small array core constantly shook, as if it was about to split open. Not good, hurry up and help. Grandmaster Xingyun originally wanted to subdue Jinbo first, but seeing the situation of the small array core, he immediately gave up on Jinbo and turned to resist the terrifying spells with Fairy Yun Shi. Fortunately, Grandmaster Xingyun Shi and Fairy Yun Shi had the Yuzuan Pagoda and the 100 Flowers fan. Otherwise, they would not even be able to last a minute. Whoosh! Grandmaster Xingyun Shi and Master Xingyun Shi were resisting the powerful attacks of Meng Quan and the others. On the other side, Ningyu slowly let out a turbid breath and withdrew his hands from Bada's back. After dozens of minutes of effort, the seal in Bada's body was finally broken by Ningyu. Fortunately, Jin Bo was sucked into the Yuzuan Pagoda and Jin Kitchen was killed. Otherwise, it would have taken Ningyu a lot of effort to break the seal in Bada's body. Go help Grandmaster Xingyun and the others. Ningyu's eyes were extremely solemn. He looked at Grandmaster Xingyun, then at the black-robed martial artist outside, and said in a deep voice, even if you are seriously injured, you must ensure the safety of the small array core. Understood. Bada was still very grateful to Ningyu. Without Ningyu, the seal in his body would not have been broken, and the geniuses of the bloodthirsty Mad Wolf clan would not have been rescued. Now that Ningyu asked him to help, he definitely would not refuse. Swoosh! Bada instantly rushed out with both feet on the ground. He unleashed all the energy in his body and set up an energy barrier around the small array core. Fairy Yun Shi and Grandmaster Xingyun were originally about to be unable to hold on, but with Bada's help, they could hold on for a while longer. Holding on for half an hour should not be a big problem. Chapter 1502. Chapter 1502. Chapter 1502 time-lapse. Follow the plan. While Bada and the rest were defending the small formation core, Ningyu contacted Mu Ping and Mu Hue, who were in the Eastern Army, and told them to follow the original plan. Ningyu had been preparing for this for a long time, waiting for this moment. Not only did he inform Mu Ping and Mu Hue, Ningyu also informed Ma Qianshan of the Western Army. As long as something happens to the Eastern and Western armies at the same time, I don't believe that you guys won't go back. After giving these instructions, Ningyu turned his gaze to Master Xingyun and Fairy Yunxi. At first, Master Xingyun and the rest were able to resist the attack of Meng Quan and the rest, but after 10 minutes, they finally couldn't resist anymore. The reason why Master Xingyun and the rest couldn't resist wasn't because Meng Quan and the rest were too strong, nor was it because they were too weak. It was because the black-robed cultivator and the man in the bamboo hat had joined the battlefield. Both the man in the bamboo hat and the black-robed cultivator were mid-sky sovereigns. With them joining the battlefield, it was only natural that Master Xingyun and Fairy Yunxi couldn't resist anymore. Poochie! Poochie! In the next moment, Master Xingyun and Fairy Yunxi spat out a mouthful of blood at the same time. Although Master Xingyun and Fairy Yunxi were heavily injured and even spat out a mouthful of blood, they were still fine compared to Bada. Bada fell to the ground, covered in blood, and his aura had dropped to the freezing point. Outside Giant Shield City, the black-robed cultivator said, "I'll give you a chance to live now. Hand over the Tower of Yuzuan and the 100-flower fan, and I can spare your lives. I can also spare the people of Giant Shield City. Otherwise, I'll massacre the entire city." The black-robed cultivator said the words massacre very calmly, to the point that there wasn't a trace of emotion in his expression. The calmer the black-robed cultivator said, the more Master Xingyun couldn't stay calm. After all, the black-robed cultivator came from a different place from him. The black-robed cultivator could really do something like massacring a city. Now that things had come to this, Ningyu knew that he couldn't just stand by and watch. Although the situation on the eastern and western armies had already erupted, it couldn't have spread here so quickly. Therefore, before the black-robed cultivators and the others broke through the small array core, what Ningyu needed was time. Ningyu was best at stalling for time. With a step forward, Ningyu and Grandmaster Xingyun stood side by side. He even snatched the Tower of Yuzu from Grandmaster Xingyun's hands. The corners of his lips curled up as Ningyu said to the black-robed cultivator outside Giant Shield City, "Are you sure you want to massacre the entire city?" The black-robed cultivator's tone was calm, but Ningyu's was even calmer. Since he had decided to stall for time, Ningyu would definitely not be indecisive. "I can open a small formation eye and let you in, but I'm afraid you don't have the guts." The next moment, Ningyu really did something big. Waving the Tower of Yuzuan in his hand, he actually broke the small formation in front of everyone. Voila! The moment the small formation broke, the eyes of the black-robed cultivators and the others outside Giant Shield City widened in extreme shock. They had gone through a lot of hardships and even used their trump cards to break through the formation core. Even so, they were unable to quickly break open the small formation eye. What Ningyu had done had indeed exceeded their expectations. However, although it was unexpected, the black-robed martial artists were not fools. There must be a reason behind this abnormality. Now that Ningyu had opened the small array eye, they didn't dare to come in. After all, Jinbo's miserable state was still vivid in their minds. What if Ningyu was waiting there, waiting for them to enter the small array core and activate the Tower of the Supreme of Yuzuan to take them inside? Whoosh! In an instant, the gazes of Meng Quan and the rest shifted towards the black-robed martial artist. As expected, heroes come from the young. The black-robed martial artist did not answer Ningyu immediately. After pondering for a moment, he said, "If I'm not wrong, I'm afraid that you'll be able to kill me. You should be trying to use this method to confuse me and make me not dare to go in. You're very smart. I didn't expect that I hid so deeply and you actually guessed it." Ningyu shrugged his shoulders and said with a smile, "Haha, but so what if you guessed it? I'm standing right here. If you're not convinced, feel free to come in." As he spoke, Ningyu even took a few steps forward, getting even closer to the small formation eye. The position where Ningyu was standing was already considered an extremely dangerous place. At such a close distance, as long as the black-robed martial artist or the man in the bamboo hat made a move, Ningyu would die without a doubt. Swoosh! The black-robed martial artist's eyes stared fixedly at Ningyu, wanting to see some clues from Ningyu's expression. Want to see through me? How can it be so easy? Ningyu was someone who had experienced a lifetime. How could he not know what the black-robed martial artist was thinking? With a thought, Ningyu directly shut his eyes and began to rest. What? Ningyu's actions made the black-robed martial artist feel a little diffident. To be honest, although the black-robed martial artist suspected Ningyu, he dared not act rashly. Since the black-robed martial artist did not speak, Meng Quan and the rest dared not move either. Time seemed to have stopped at that moment. Why isn't the news getting here yet? Ningyu looked calm on the surface, but that was not the case in reality. At that moment, his clothes were completely drenched in sweat and stuck tightly to his back. As time passed, Ningyu's worries grew. He was already in a difficult position. If the news about the East and West armies still did not reach him after a while, he would be in trouble. Southern Dipper the Venerable One, go over and test him. After another 10 minutes, the black-robed martial artist finally could not take it anymore and said in a deep voice, "Me." Hearing the black-robed martial artist's words, Southern Dipper the Venerable One almost fell in shock. Southern Dipper the Venerable One was not a fool. If even the black-robed martial artist did not dare to go over, he would definitely be doomed. "Why? You don't want to go?" Seeing that Southern Dipper the Venerable One did not want to go, the black-robed martial artist's tone gradually turned cold. "It's not that I don't want to go, but..." Southern Dipper the Venerable One hesitated. "He has the Tower of Yuzuan, and the Tower of Yuzuan is a peerless magic treasure. I'm afraid I'm no match for it. You have no other choice." The black-robed martial artist's tone became calm instead. It was as if the black-robed martial artist was not talking to Southern Dipper the Venerable One but someone unimportant. "All right, I'll go." Southern Dipper the Venerable One gritted his teeth and charged at Ningyu. Southern Dipper the Venerable One knew his situation very well. The black-robed martial artist was right, he had no other choice. He could only take a gamble. If he won, he could kill Ningyu and take the Tower of Yuzuan. If he lost, he could just cast the golden cicada shedding technique and escape. "Eat my fist." While charging at Ningyu, Southern Dipper the Venerable One clenched his right fist and punched in the air. Kai, Kai. The speed of the punch was much faster than Southern Dipper the Venerable One. Chapter 1503. Retreat. A full-powered attack from a quasi-heavenly sovereign. Sensing the fist before him, Ningyu did not show any ripples on the surface, but his heart was in turmoil. With his current strength, it was impossible for him to resist it. Damn it, just a little more. Am I going to leave just like that? Ningyu wasn't willing to give up just like that. It was secondary if the Southern Dipper Venerable found an opening, and he would be done for. Oh, right. Suddenly, Ningyu thought of a countermeasure. Jin Yi. The pinnacle 9th grade alchemist of the Jin clan, Jin Yi, was still in the Ascension Pagoda. Although Jin Yi was only a 7th grade Earth Sovereign, her soul energy had reached the level of liquefying aura. With her cultivation at the 7th grade Earth Sovereign realm, she should have a 50% chance of blocking this powerful attack from the Southern Dipper Venerable. Buzz. Buzz. Jin Yi had no other choice but to pour her energy and soul energy into Ningyu's body through the Ascension Pagoda. As the energy and soul energy continued to pour in, the aura emanating from Ningyu had instantly reached the pinnacle. Crack. Because there was too much energy and soul energy, cracking sounds came from Ningyu's body. Fortunately, Ningyu's physique was good. Otherwise, just the energy and soul energy alone would be enough to make his body explode. Still not dead. After a roar, the Southern Dipper Venerable's body stopped in the sky and he did not continue his attack. The Southern Dipper Venerable couldn't be bothered with Ningyu's current state. In his view, even if Ningyu had reached the Earth Sovereign realm, it's impossible for him to resist his fist. Rumble. Under everyone's gazes, Ningyu's fist clashed with the Southern Dipper Venerable's fist. Poof. The outcome of the clash was within everyone's expectations. Ningyu was like a kite with a broken string. His body flew backward for dozens of feet and fell directly into Giant Shield City. Fresh blood spurted out, and Ningyu's aura instantly dropped to the freezing point. Close the small formation eye. Enduring the excruciating pain all over his body, Ningyu waved the Tower of Yuzuan in his hand and forcefully shut the small formation eye. Although he had Jin Yi's help, in terms of raw strength, Ningyu was still too far away from the Southern Dipper Venerable. He had no way of contending against him head-on. Since the obstruction had failed, Ningyu could only use the last bit of strength in his body to close the small formation eye. Ha ha ha, so you are the wax head of the silver spear. In that case, I have to apologize to you. Seeing as Ningyu fell to the ground, Southern Dipper the Venerable One was startled at first, then he threw his head back and laughed out loud. Let's go together. We'll be able to destroy the small formation eye in half a minute at most. Voila! The Southern Dipper Venerable's words were the fuse. Meng Quan and the rest were all shrewd people. Since Ningyu's scheme had been seen through, then they would no longer hold back. Several silhouettes swiftly moved and all sorts of powerful spiritual arts were thrown towards the small formation eye. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The powerful attacks that Meng Quan and the rest had just executed had all stopped on the spot. In an instant, the entire region had turned silent, to the point that it was a little weird. What's going on? The sudden stop of Meng Quan and the rest had caused the black-robed cultivator's face to turn ugly. The black-robed cultivator had unleashed the aura of a middle-phase heavenly sovereign and violently pressured towards Meng Quan and the rest. At the same time, he coldly barked, "Quick, destroy the small formation eye. I can't do it now. There's something on the eastern side that I have to return to deal with." Meng Quan gritted his teeth as if he had made a huge decision. "There's also a change in the southern side, I have to return as well. There's also a problem with the northern side, I have to return immediately. There's also a problem with the western side, if we don't return now, it'll be too late." Not only Meng Quan, but even the Southern Dipper Venerable, the Northern Dipper Venerable, and the ancestor of God Emperor Palace had spoken at the same time. This change had clearly caused the black-robed cultivator's face to turn extremely dark. Just when he was about to destroy the small formation eye, there was such a change. The black-robed cultivator was unwilling. "I don't care what's wrong with those armies, but what you have to do now is to destroy the small formation eye for me." The black-robed cultivator's tone was extremely cold and domineering, without any room for redemption. In fact, the black-robed cultivator could destroy the small formation eye himself. It was just that the black-robed cultivator didn't dare to. Or he was still in the hands of Fairy Yun Shi and the rest, and the black-robed cultivator was afraid that Fairy Yun Shi would suddenly summon Tuorhe and make him self-destruct when he entered the small formation eye. The only way was for Meng Quan and the rest to destroy the small formation eye as soon as possible and force Fairy Yun Shi to use her trump card. Only then could he successfully enter the giant shield city. That's what you said. As the Western armies didn't have anyone from Emperor Palace, they didn't have much to do with Emperor Palace, so the Patriarch of Emperor Palace said, "If the 100 Flowers Demon Palace is breached, it has nothing to do with us. Don't worry, even if the 100 Flowers Demon Palace is breached, No, what did you say?" Initially, the black-robed cultivator was still rather arrogant and indifferent. But when he reacted, he immediately shouted, "The 100 Flowers Demon Palace is breached? Who has the guts to actually dare to attack the 100 Flowers Demon Palace? Don't they know that the Demon Lord is currently in the 100 Flowers Demon Palace? It's not a few people attacking the 100 Flowers Demon Palace, but thousands of people attacking the 100 Flowers Demon Palace together." Meng Quan followed up the Patriarch's words and said, "Now, the entire 4 armies have completely rebelled. They are being controlled and have started to advance towards the 100 Flowers Demon Palace." In the beginning, Meng Quan didn't want to interfere with this matter, but the eastern armies had 2 of his disciples, Mu Ping and Mu Hua. He had to interfere. Damn it. Hearing Meng Quan's words, the black-robed cultivator gritted his teeth in anger. In order to attack the giant shield city, the 100 Flowers Demon Palace almost turned out in full force. Now, the giant shield city had not been breached, but the 100 Flowers Demon Palace was the first to have a problem. "Let's go." With a gloomy expression, the black-robed cultivator gritted his teeth, then turned around and flew towards the 100 Flowers Demon Palace. Swoosh. The man in the bamboo hat followed closely behind the black-robed cultivator and disappeared. However, when the man in the bamboo hat disappeared, a faint voice resounded in this area. "Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace, stay behind and watch the small array core." Without my permission, you can't go anywhere. Swoosh. The words of the man in the bamboo hat made the face of the patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace darken instantly. Let him stay behind. That was no different from courting death. Boom. Meng Quan and the rest did not care about the complicated feelings of the patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace at this moment. They teleported and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Master, what do we do now? Seeing Meng Quan and the rest disappear, a martial artist of the same age as Ningyu frowned and said hesitantly, do we defend here or return to Emperor Divine Palace? Chapter 1504. Chapter 1504. Chapter 1504. Relocate Small Formation Ihu. Inside Giant Shield City, when Ningyu saw the black-robed cultivators retreat, he heaved a sigh of relief. The worry in his heart eased somewhat. To be honest, at that moment, Ningyu had almost lost all hope. In their current state, there was no way they could withstand the powerful attacks of the black-robed cultivators and the others. No matter what, since the black-robed cultivator and the others had retreated, it meant that his plan had succeeded. Mu Ping and the others had indeed caused a disturbance, forcing the black-robed martial artist and the others to return. What's going on? Master Xingyun opened his mouth slightly and his face was filled with confusion. Ningyu knew the plan, but he didn't. Seeing that the black-robed cultivators were about to break through the small formation core, it did not make sense for them to retreat now. There's something I haven't told you. When I left, I didn't go anywhere else. I was with the Eastern Army. Now that things had come to this, Ningyu had nothing to hide. He told Master Xingyun about what had happened to him during this period of time. Of course, Ningyu did not mention anything about Xie Yi. All right. Hearing Ningyu's description, Master Xingyun could not help but applaud. Fortunately, Ningyu had a trick up his sleeve. Otherwise, he would not have been able to break out of this predicament. Make good use of this time to recuperate and try to find a way to move this small array eye before the black-robed martial artists return. Ningyu did not want to waste time here. His plan was not flawless. Once Meng Quan and the others returned to their respective armies, things would quickly settle down. During this period of time, their task was arduous. Not only did he have to recover to his peak condition, but he also had to find a way to move the small array core away. Relocate a small formation core? Ningyu's words caused Master Xingyun and Fairy Yun Shi to be a little stunned. They were a little confused. Ever since the peerless killing array existed, the small formation core had been fixed here. How was it supposed to be transferred? Both Master Xingyun and Fairy Yun Shi knew nothing about it. Although the small formation core has been fixed here, it is not impossible to transfer it. How could Ningyu not know what Master Xingyun and the others were thinking? He said in a low voice, I can clearly tell you that all formations with small formation cores can be transferred. It's just that the method is a little complicated and requires a lot of preparation. But it's fine. With the current resources of Shield City, giant formation cores can be transferred. In his previous life, Ningyu was a Sky Supreme and a peak 9th grade alchemist. Coincidentally, Ningyu had refined a life-saving elixir for a pinnacle heavenly supreme powerhouse. This 2-on-1 TWO-ONE2ONE 2111 of 2-inch 1ONE Ningyu thought that he would never have to use that method. Who would have thought that he would actually be able to use it in his rebirth? Of 4. Alright, 4-1 said. Star 1 Master Xingyun Shi and Master Xingyun Shi did not believe him. To be honest, if they did not know that Ningyu was very powerful, Master Xingyun and Fairy Yun Shi would definitely not believe Ningyu. Whoosh, whoosh. In the next moment, Master Xingyun Shi and Master Xingyun Shi flew to the other side and sat down to recuperate. As for Ningyu, he was not in a hurry to recuperate. Instead, he went to Bada and placed his hands on Bada's back to check on his injuries. In order to stop Meng Quan and the others from attacking the small formation core, Bada had taken the lead and suffered heavy casualties. If Bada was not a bloodthirsty wolf with thick skin and thick flesh, he would have been decapitated by now. Even so, Bada was on the verge of death and his injuries were serious. Jinyi. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu began to contact Jin Yi. If he wanted to alleviate Bada's injuries, he would need to use a 9th grade soul force. Ningyu's current soul force was only at the peak of the 8th grade. He was still a little away from the 9th grade. Therefore, asking for Jin Yi's help was a matter of course. Buzz. Although she was furious, Jin Yi did not dare to disobey Ningyu. With a thought, the soul force that she had just recovered entered Ningyu's body. Swish. While Ningyu was treating Bada's injuries, outside Giant Shield City, Di Lingtian shifted his gaze to him. Di Lingtian's expression was calm and did not show any emotion. Di Lingtian opened his mouth and said, "Master, Ningyu's strength should only be slightly weaker than mine. He will be a formidable opponent." Di Lingtian knew his own strength very well. As a peak 1st grade Earth Supreme, he could fight against a 4th grade Earth Supreme. Although Ningyu was only a 9th grade Earth Supreme, Di Lingtian did not let his guard down. It was not difficult for some genius warriors to challenge those of a higher level. "It's fine. You can suppress Ningyu now, so you will definitely be able to suppress him in the future." The old ancestor waved his hand and continued, "Let's wait here first. I believe that Meng Quan and the rest will be back soon." Although it was a huge matter for the 4 armies to attack the 100 Flowers Demon Palace, it was nothing in the eyes of the old ancestor. The black-robed cultivator and the man wearing the bamboo hat were both middle-phase heavenly sovereigns. As long as they unleashed their auras, the crisis would be resolved. At that time, the black-robed cultivator and Meng Quan would definitely be the first to return. "When we capture Ningyu, I hope to spar with him." Di Lingtian seemed to have an indescribable interest in Ningyu. He had always been thinking about Ningyu and wanted to clash with Ningyu. "Don't worry, Ningyu will definitely not be able to escape from our palms." The corner of the old ancestor's lips rose as he eerily said. If the words of the old ancestor were heard by Ningyu, Ningyu would probably reveal a disdainful expression. "Where did you guys get the courage to capture me alive?" Naturally, Ningyu couldn't possibly know what the old ancestor was talking about, since his attention was on Bada. Time swiftly passed. In the blink of an eye, 10-odd minutes had passed. Ningyu's hands slowly moved away from Bada's back. Wiping the sweat on his forehead, Ningyu said, "I have already treated 50% of your injuries, the rest is up to you." "Thanks." Bada cupped his fists towards Ningyu. "From today onwards, my life belongs to you. I will not frown no matter where you ask me to go. Make the best use of your time to recuperate. I will need your help later." Ningyu waved his hand and continued, "Right now, your main task is to recuperate while keeping an eye on the Emperor Palace's party. As long as they make any movements, inform me immediately." "Understood." Bada nodded. "Let's get ready first. Once Master Xingyun and Fairy Yun Shi have recovered, we will immediately start moving the small formation core." Ningyu's expression was extremely solemn. Although his injuries had just recovered a little, he didn't dare to recover now. After all, moving the small formation core was a serious matter. If the small formation core had not been moved by the time the black-robed cultivators returned, the situation would be extremely dangerous. Chapter 1505. Chapter 1505. Chapter 1505 Movement. Fortunately, many people in Giant Shield City knew Ningyu, especially Cheng Ling, who had fought alongside Ningyu in the Void Mystery Land. With the help of Cheng Ling, Ningyu frantically searched for the things he needed in Giant Shield City. There were too many things that needed to be prepared to move a small array core. Even though Giant Shield City was a huge city, Ningyu had no way of gathering everything. After half an hour, Ningyu finally found 80% of the materials. Half an hour wasn't long, but it wasn't short either. Even though he had only found 80% of the materials, Ningyu did not dare to continue searching. If they continued searching, and Meng Quan and the others killed their way back to the small formation's eye, the losses would outweigh the gains. Xiu. After bidding farewell to Cheng Ling, Ningyu moved quickly and arrived at the north gate of Giant Shield City in the blink of an eye. Ningyu's gaze lingered on the small array eye for a while. Then, his gaze shifted and fell on the people from Emperor Palace outside the city. To be more precise, it landed on Di Lingtian. At this moment, Di Lingtian raised his brows and stared at Ningyu with interest. He opened his mouth and said indifferently, "Ningyu, do you dare to come out and spar with me? Idiot." Ningyu rolled his eyes and spat out the word idiot. He then turned around and walked towards the small array eye. "Why should I spar with you? What a joke. I still have to move the small array core. I don't have the time to accompany you here." Ka. Hearing Ningyu's ridicule, Di Lingtian gritted his teeth. Di Lingtian clenched his fists tightly, and the bones in his palms made cracking sounds. "Don't be impatient. The matter with the 4 armies has been settled. It won't be long before the black-robed martial artists rush back. At that time, Ningyu will definitely die." The old ancestor of Emperor God Palace waved his hand, signaling Di Lingtian not to worry. "In any case, the small formation core is here, and you can't move it away. As long as the small formation eye can't be moved, we have a way to break it and easily enter Giant Shield City." "Master, I understand." Taking a deep breath, Di Lingtian tried his best to calm himself down. "The situation is a little complicated. We still lack 20% of the materials." Ningyu stared at the small formation eye, and a solemn expression appeared on his face. The cleverest housewife cannot cook without rice. Ningyu's current state was similar to that of a clever housewife. Without the materials, no matter how strong he was, he would not be able to move the small formation core away. "I need to find another material to replace it." Ningyu was not an indecisive person. Although it was risky to replace it with other materials, it was still much better than it was now. "Grandmaster Xingyun, Fairy Yun Shi, I need the following materials. Give me as many as you have." Ningyu placed them around the small formation core according to a certain pattern. Then, Ningyu forced out 2 drops of blood essence and dripped them on the small formation core. Rumble. As soon as Ningyu was done, the small formation core started to shake. The shaking was getting more and more intense. "Grandmaster Xingyun, do it quickly." At the critical moment, Ningyu shouted at Grandmaster Xingyun. "Go." Grandmaster Xingyun did not dare to delay. He followed the guidance of the chant and wrapped all the energy in his body around his wrist. Then, he blasted it at the small formation core. Plop. Grandmaster Xingyun did not hold back. After unleashing this attack, he sat on the ground paralyzed. His aura was weak. Boom. Fortunately, with the help of Grandmaster Xingyun's attack, the small formation core underwent an earth-shattering change. It was actually forcefully separated from the void. As for Ningyu, he held the small formation core with both hands and slowly walked toward the center of Giant Shield City. Gulp. The sudden change caused the people from Emperor Palace outside Giant Shield City to open their mouths wide. They were dumbfounded. What the hell is going on? Why is the small formation core being separated from the void? The Patriarch of Emperor Palace could not hide the surprise between his eyebrows. He was just thinking that unless Ningyu moved the small formation core away, he would be captured sooner or later. Now, Ningyu was actually holding the small formation core with both hands and walking toward the center of Giant Shield City step by step. This situation was clearly out of his expectations. What the hell is going on? How can he move the small formation core away? The Patriarch of Emperor Palace opened his eyes wide and stared at Ningyu, hoping to find some flaws. Unfortunately, after repeated checks, he finally came to a conclusion. The small formation core was indeed being moved slowly by Ningyu. The Patriarch of Emperor Palace had mixed feelings and even felt like he had been F***ked. Whoosh. Chapter 1506. The return of the experts. Looking at the silhouettes that suddenly appeared, the old ancestor of the Emperor Palace was briefly stunned before joy appeared on his face. The lineup this time was extremely powerful. The black-robed cultivator, the man in the bamboo hat, Meng Quan, the southern Dipper Venerable, and the northern Dipper Venerable. Even the western Dipper Venerable, who wasn't present the previous time, was amongst the crowd. Evidently, the black-robed cultivator was determined to break the array core and attack the Giant Shield City. The old ancestor of the Emperor Palace, After appearing, the black-robed cultivator's gaze only lingered on the patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace for a second before shifting to Ningyu. He said in a deep voice, "Why do I feel that what Ningyu is dragging looks like a small array eye? That's not a small-scale array core, it's indeed a small-scale array core." The old ancestor's expression was a little exaggerated, which showed that he was also shocked. "Then, what are you waiting for? Quickly attack the small-scale array core." Seeing the patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace's shocked expression and his inaction, the black-robed martial artist's tone instantly turned cold. He said, "If we let Ningyu move the small formation eye away, we may have to work several times harder to attack Giant Shield City." "All right." The old ancestor of the Emperor Palace simply had the urge to F***CK himself. He had waited here for so long, but in the end, he was still the first one to make a move. He really had bitterness that he could not express. However, the old ancestor of the Emperor Palace knew that he had no other choice but to be the first to make a move. Otherwise, the black-robed cultivator might really be able to kill him. With the black-robed cultivator's cultivation at the middle phase Heavenly Sovereign realm, it wouldn't take much effort for him to kill an initial phase Heavenly Sovereign. Since he would definitely die if he stayed, then he might as well try to break the small-scale array core. Whoosh! The black-robed cultivator flashed and arrived before the small-scale array core in the blink of an eye. Rumble! The massive attack did not stop in the sky and landed before Ningyu. Sizzle! 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 Space was torn apart as the shockwaves from the attack swept towards Ningyu. Go! Seeing that the patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace had made a move, Master Xingyun and Bada did not dare to be negligent. They moved and stood in front of Ningyu. Fortunately, Ningyu had moved some distance with the small formation eye, so the attack of the patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace had to penetrate the void to hit him. On the other hand, the old ancestor's cultivation was only at the middle phase Heavenly Sovereign realm. Under the obstruction of space, the power of his attack was greatly reduced by the time it reached Ningyu. With Bada and Master Nebula blocking from the side, they easily blocked the attack. "Trash, all of you, charge!" Seeing as the great ancestor of Emperor Divine Palace could not do anything to Ningyu, the black-robed martial artist was infuriated. He roared, "South Dipper Venerable, North Dipper Venerable, West Dipper Venerable, Meng Quan, all of you attack." The black-robed martial artist was completely enraged. If Ningyu was given more time, Ningyu would definitely be able to take away the small array core. At that time, his plan would fall short of success. Swish! Just like the old ancestor of Emperor Divine Palace, the South Dipper Venerable and the rest had no choice but to attack. 4 half-step Heavenly Sovereigns attacked Ningyu from all directions. But unfortunately, no matter how hard Meng Quan and the rest attacked, they could not hurt Ningyu at all. Ningyu was still moving toward the center of Giant Shield City with the small array core. "Why don't I make a move?" The man in the bamboo hat frowned and said, "We can't go on like this. If Ningyu really moves the small array core away, the consequences will be unimaginable." "No." The black-robed martial artist refused. "To all he is still in their hands. If we make a move, they might use it to threaten us. They might even detonate it and severely injure us. But if we can't break into Giant Shield City this time, we'll have to face the peerless killing array." The man in the bamboo hat gritted his teeth. Thinking about the terror of the peerless killing array, the man in the bamboo hat felt his heart palpitate. The peerless killing array was no joke. According to their investigations, at least tens of thousands of people would have to die if they wanted to break the peerless killing array. At that time, it would not be an exaggeration to say that blood would flow like a river. What are you afraid of? The peerless killing array is not invincible. The 100 Flowers Demon Master has already contacted an array master from another central continent. In 3 days, that array master will come. The black-robed cultivator waved his hand and said sullenly, "That formation master is said to be the strongest in the heavenly demon domain in terms of formations. With his help, I believe that killing formations will not be a problem." Central Continent. Has the Central Continent's army already started? The man in the bamboo hat's attention was not on the array master, but on the Central Continent. Nodding, the black-robed martial artist said, "The central continent is already under our control. The plan to control the Dancheng mainland will start with attacking Giant Shield City." "Okay, let's do that." The man in the bamboo hat was a little excited. Since the people from the central continent had succeeded, the people from the Dancheng mainland could not be at a disadvantage. Puff, puff. In Giant Shield City, Bada and Master Xingyun were finally injured by the aftermath of the powerful attack after holding on for half an hour. They both spat out a mouthful of blood. After all, Bada and Master Xingyun had not recovered to their peak state. It was not easy for them to hold on for half an hour. However, even though they were injured, Bada and Master Xingyun would not retreat. They knew very well that if they retreated, Ningyu would definitely be attacked. Given Ningyu's state, if he was attacked, he would be crippled even if he did not die. The small array eye was still in Ningyu's hands. If something happened to Ningyu, the small array eye would definitely be broken. Therefore, Master Xingyun and Bada had to hold on. Even if they died in battle, they had to hold on. "Everyone, let's work harder. We're about to break the small array eye." Outside Giant Shield City, the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace was extremely excited. He had waited here for so long and was finally going to attack Giant Shield City. How could he not be excited? Swoosh. However, the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace's excitement did not last long. His eyes widened and his face was filled with confusion. A figure flew over from the center of Giant Shield City and came to Ningyu's side in the blink of an eye. That figure was none other than Fairy Yun Shi. With a flick of her wrist, Fairy Yun Shi handed several materials to Ningyu. Then, together with Bada and the others, they began to resist the attack of the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace. My God, my God. Seeing the sudden appearance of Fairy Yun Shi, the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace almost spat out a mouthful of blood. One must know that Fairy Yun Shi came with the 100 Flowers fan. With the 100 Flowers fan, Fairy Yun Shi's combat power was enough to compete with a Sky Supreme. Chapter 1507. 100 Flowers Demon Lord shows his might alright. Some were happy, some were sad. The ones who were worried were the Patriarch of Emperor Divine Palace and Meng Quan. The one who was happy was Ningyu. Receiving the materials that Fairy Yun Shi had tossed over, Ningyu didn't say a word as he forcefully threw them into the small array core. Buzz! With the injection of new materials, the small formation eye swayed even further. However, this kind of shaking did not make Ningyu nervous. Instead, it made Ningyu very excited. Now that he had all the materials, Ningyu's movement speed had increased significantly. Previously, Ningyu could only move a few steps per minute. Now, he could run more than 10 meters per minute. Comparing the two, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that his steps were as fast as flying. Fairy Yun Shi, don't fight recklessly. Find a chance to leave at any time. The pressure on Ningyu's body was greatly reduced, and he could even send a voice transmission to Fairy Yun Shi. I will bring the small formation core to the City Lord's mansion. When the time comes, we will meet there. As he spoke, Ningyu rushed to the City Lord mansion with the small array eye. Rumble. Seeing that Ningyu was about to leave, the progenitor of Emperor Divine Palace, Meng Quan, and the others no longer held back and unleashed their trump cards. Unfortunately, Ningyu walked further and further away. No matter how much they used their trump cards, they were unable to harm Ningyu. Furthermore, with Ningyu's disappearance, their attacks had already triggered the Peerless Killing Array. Voila! The defensive power of a Peerless Killing Array was still very shocking. Sensing an attack, the Supreme Killing Formation activated its defense system and reflected the attacks of the Patriarchs of Emperor God Palace. Pu. The overwhelming attacks bounced back, causing the Patriarchs of Emperor God Palace and the others to suffer greatly. Relatively speaking, Patriarch of Emperor God Palace and Meng Quan were in a better situation. After all, they were powerful and could withstand the rebound attack from the Ultimate Killing Formation. On the other hand, Nando the Venerable and the others were embarrassed. They were injured by their own attacks and were sent flying several feet away. Fortunately, at the critical moment, The black-robed martial artist blocked the rebound attack for them. Otherwise, it was very likely that they would have been seriously injured. The peerless killing formation had a special characteristic. If you attack it, it will reflect the attack. As long as you don't touch it, it won't react. Now that the small array I had been moved away by Ningyu, if they wanted to attack at the north gate again, they would definitely trigger the peerless killing array. The best opportunity had been missed. Go back and mobilize the 4 armies. Surround Giant Shield City. Don't let even a fly escape. Although the black-robed martial artist had already expected this result, he was still very angry when it really happened. However, despite his anger, the black-robed cultivator had no other choice. He could only order Meng Quan and the others to lead the army to surround Giant Shield City. They had to wait for the array master from the central mainland to come over. Once an array master came to Giant Shield City, the peerless killing array would become a papermake array that could be easily broken. Hua. Originally, Meng Quan and the others were worried that the black-robed martial artist would reprimand them. Now that they heard the black-robed martial artist's words, it was as if they had been granted amnesty. They hurriedly tore open the void and entered. In an instant, there were only 2 martial artists left here. The black-robed martial artist looked at Fairy Yun Shi, Ningyu, and the others who were gradually disappearing from his sight. His face became increasingly gloomy. Although an array master could easily break the peerless killing array once he arrived. However, he had led the 4 armies over, but they still couldn't break through Giant Shield City. This was an indisputable fact. This matter had already aroused the dissatisfaction of 100 Flowers Demon Master. He had to seize the time to remedy the situation. As for how to remedy the situation, he hadn't thought of it yet. Ningyu didn't know about the black-robed martial artist's anger. He brought the small array all the way to the city lord's residence and placed it in an absolutely safe place. After doing all this, Ningyu heaved a sigh of relief. That was close. Luckily, he knew how to move the small array in his previous life. Otherwise, Giant Shield City would have long been breached. Grandmaster Xingyun, what's the situation at the south gate? Ningyu only relaxed for a moment before his face became solemn. The 4 armies were stationed at the south gate. In Ningyu's opinion, since the black-robed martial artist and the others couldn't enter Giant Shield City through the small array they would definitely attack from the south gate and break the peerless killing array by taking turns to fight. Therefore, he couldn't let his guard down. The 4 armies have already started to move. The other 3 armies have already moved to the other 3 gates. Only the southern army was left at the south gate. Grandmaster Xingyun explained, now that the problem of the small array has been solved, I believe that even if they attack the peerless killing array with all their strength, they definitely won't be able to break it so quickly. Moreover, looking at their posture, it seems that they plan to stay here for a long time. They have no intention of making a move. They don't plan to make a move? Ningyu was stunned at first, then said, we can't let our guard down on this matter. I suggest we go to the south gate and take a look. All right. Although he thought that Ningyu's worry was unnecessary, Grandmaster Xingyun didn't stop Ningyu. Instead, he said, let's go to the south now, rumble. Before Grandmaster Xingyun finished saying the word south gate, the entire city lord's mansion began to shake violently. What's going on? This change was clearly out of everyone's expectations. Grandmaster Xingyun's eyes widened as he exclaimed, why is the city lord's mansion shaking? Could it be that they're attacking from underground? Impossible, the peerless killing array is omnidirectional. The danger of attacking from underground is even greater than attacking from the front gate. Ningyu's expression was solemn as he said in a deep voice, something might have happened to the palace master of 100 Flowers. Let's go and take a look. Grandmaster Xingyun and Fairy Yun she didn't know, but Ningyu knew very well. It must be a problem with the soul attraction technique. The palace master of 100 Flowers was using the soul attraction technique in an attempt to severely injure the mysterious expert in the palace from afar, the so-called 100 Flowers Demon Master. Unfortunately, the 100 Flowers Demon Master also knew the soul attraction technique. Both sides used the soul attraction technique at the same time, and the 100 Flowers Demon Master had the help of an expert, So the Palace Master of 100 Flowers Demon Master had a problem, and it was a big problem. Actually, Ningyu's guess was right. At this moment, the Palace Master of 100 Flowers Demon Master's entire body began to swell, and her aura leaked out, constantly hitting the floor of the secret chamber. It was the Palace Master of 100 Flowers Demon Master's continuous attacks that caused the City Lord's mansion to shake continuously, giving off a feeling of extreme panic. Bada, go and stabilize the people in Giant Shield City. Don't let them panic. Fairy Yun Shi, Grandmaster Xing Yun, and I will go to the Palace Master of 100 Flowers Demon Master now. At this point, Ningyu could only bite the bullet and go to see the Palace Master of 100 Flowers Demon Master. To be honest, even Ningyu wasn't confident that he could save the Palace Master of 100 Flowers Demon Master. This was because if he wanted to save the Palace Master of 100 Flowers Demon Master, he needed to control her first. Grandmaster Xing Yun and Fairy Yun Shi might not be able to control the Palace Master of 100 Flowers Demon Master who had used the soul attraction technique. If Ningyu's guess was right, the 100 Flowers Demon Master had probably detonated her own soul power in an attempt to perish together with the Palace Master of 100 Flowers Demon Master's soul power. Chapter 1508. Help! What's going on in the City Lord's mansion? The violent shaking of the City Lord's mansion had caused the entire Giant Shield City to panic. On the streets, in the houses, and in the cellars, everyone shifted their gazes towards the City Lord's mansion with panic in their eyes. Everyone in the Giant Shield City knew that the Centaurea Palace Master was in the City Lord's mansion, and the Centaurea Palace Master was their pillar of support. If anything happened to the Centaurea Palace Master, they wouldn't be able to hold on. So the violent shaking of the City Lord's mansion made everyone extremely worried. There were even many people who left their residences and rushed towards the City Lord's mansion to see what was going on. Panic, fear, unease. The entire Giant Shield City was shrouded in all sorts of unease. Everyone, calm down. The Centaurea Palace Master is cultivating a secret technique, and she's at a crucial moment. Since he was entrusted with this task, he had to do it. Since Bada had promised Ningyu to calm down the people of Giant Shield City, he definitely wouldn't go back on his word. He hovered above Giant Shield City and unleashed his aura as he swept his gaze across everyone. Anyone who dares to approach the City Lord's mansion will be killed without mercy. Whoosh! Everyone exclaimed. The reason why everyone exclaimed wasn't because of Bada's words, but because they were shocked by the aura he emitted. Pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign. They weren't fools, and everyone knew the current situation in Giant Shield City. Aside from Daoist Shen Mo and Fairy Yun Shi, there shouldn't be any other Pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereigns in Giant Shield City. Who would have thought that there would be another Pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign? Initially, everyone wasn't very confident in fending off the four armies. But after sensing Bada's aura, everyone's confidence was greatly boosted. At the same time, in a secret room in the City Lord's mansion, the Centaurea Palace Master's body swelled up, and it looked like she would explode at any moment. Outside the secret room, Ningyu's expression was extremely solemn. The Centaurea Palace Master's situation was much more serious than he'd expected. The Centaurea Fiendlord had already used the soul guidance technique to draw out the soul power in the Centaurea Palatial Lord's Sea of Consciousness before the Centaurea Palatial Lord. If this continued, the Centaurea Palace Master would definitely self-destruct. On the other hand, the Centaurea Palace Master was only taking control of Xielan's body temporarily. By then, it would be one corpse and two lives. What should we do? Fairy Yun Shi's expression was no better than Ningyu's. Although she didn't know what had happened to the 100 Flowers Palace Master, Fairy Yun Shi could tell from Ningyu's face how serious the problem was. You and Master Nebula will move together. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu said in a serious tone, Master Xingyun, take the Palace Master's soul power out of Xielan's body, and you will be in charge of controlling Xielan. I will personally use the soul attraction art to fight against the Palace Master of 100 Flowers. No. Grandmaster Xingyun and Fairy Yun Shi shouted at the same time. Even Palatial Lord Centaurea isn't Centaurea Fiendlord's match, so how can you possibly contend with Centaurea Fiendlord? Where there's life, There's hope. I've already made up my mind. There's no need for you to say anything more, Ningyu said in a deep voice. In fact, Ningyu was also very helpless. If there was any other way, he would definitely not take the risk out of desperation. There was something that Ningyu did not say out loud. He had to do it. Otherwise, if the Palace Master of 100 Flowers retracted the soul power he left in Xielan's body or detonated it completely, the Palace Master's body would be completely under his control. Therefore, Ningyu had to use the soul attraction art to severely injure the Palace Master's body before the Palace Master retracted his soul power. However, the success rate of doing so was very low, and any carelessness would result in a tragic death. Alright. Since Ningyu had already made up his mind, Grandmaster Xingyun and Fairy Yun she had nothing else to say. Their figures flashed, and they instantly rushed into the secret chamber. Die. Inside the secret chamber, the Palace Master of 100 Flowers' eyes immediately shot out a terrifying light when she saw Grandmaster Xingyun and Fairy Yun she enter. After letting out a low roar, she immediately launched a powerful attack at Grandmaster Xingyun and the others. Fortunately, Grandmaster Xingyun and Fairy Yun she were strong, or they would really be defeated by the Palace Master of 100 Flowers. Rumble. All kinds of spells were used in the secret chamber. Come out. After fighting for a while, Grandmaster Xingyun released his soul power and sent it into Xielan's body. Since the strength of Grandmaster Xingyun's soul power had reached the level of liquid transformation pill, it didn't take much effort for him to extract the Palace Master's soul power from Xielan's body. Suppress. After Grandmaster Xingyun extracted the Palace Master's soul power, Fairy Yun she activated the 100 Flowers fan and sealed Xielan's entire body. You two protect me. I'm going to use the soul attraction art to fight with the Palace Master of 100 Flowers. Ningyu wasn't an indecisive person, and he naturally wouldn't waste such a good opportunity. Moving his body, Ningyu arrived beside Xielan in the blink of an eye and sat down cross-legged. Slap. With both hands on Xielan's back, Ningyu's peak 8th grade soul power completely entered Xielan's body. This, Grandmaster Xingyun and Fairy Yun she were a little dumbfounded when they saw Ningyu's actions. Didn't he need the soul attraction pill to use the soul attraction art? Why didn't Ningyu do any preparatory work before using the soul attraction art? What should we do now? Fairy Yun she held the 100 Flowers fan and bit her lips. At this moment, she was very fragile. She placed all her hopes on Ningyu. Whether Ningyu succeeded or not was a matter of great importance. Protect Ningyu. Grandmaster Xingyun first stored the Palace Master's soul power, then said in a deep voice, based on my understanding of Ningyu, he would never do something he wasn't confident in. Since he said he's going to use the soul attraction art to fight against the Palace Master of 100 Flowers, he's definitely confident. After going through so many things with Ningyu, Grandmaster Xingyun naturally chose to believe in Ningyu. All right. Fairy Yun she had no other choice but to nod and stand guard for Ningyu. What Grandmaster Xingyun and Fairy Yun she didn't know was that in one of the halls of the 100 Flowers Palace, a warrior wrapped in a red robe suddenly raised his eyebrows and a playful smile appeared on his face. Palace Master of 100 Flowers, I didn't expect you to have an expert helping you. Opposite the red-robed martial artist, a woman sat cross-legged with an extremely pale face. Palace Master of 100 Flowers. Sitting opposite the red-robed martial artist was the Palace Master of 100 Flowers. Didn't I get tricked by you? Palace Master of 100 Flowers opened her eyes slowly with an expressionless face. I didn't expect you to know the soul attraction art. Palace Master of 100 Flowers had basically given up now. Ever since her soul attraction art was countered by the Palace Master of 100 Flowers, her situation had taken a turn for the worse. She was no longer able to fight against the Palace Master of 100 Flowers head-on, but was now at a complete disadvantage. If the Palace Master of 100 Flowers was given a few more hours, her body would be completely controlled. By then, there would only be two fates for her. Chapter 1509. Chapter 1509. Chapter 1509. To do it personally, of course I know the soul attraction technique. The 100 Blossoms Demon Master's lips curled up. Don't worry, I won't kill you for now. I want to see just how strong the martial artist behind you is. Me. Palatial Lord Centaurea snorted coldly and turned her head away. Due to the failure of the soul guidance technique, Palatial Lord Centaurea had lost contact with the soul force in Giant Shield City. In other words, the palace master didn't know that the person helping her in Giant Shield City was Ning Yu. In her opinion, the one who helped her should be Grandmaster Xingyun. After all, Grandmaster Xingyun's soul power had reached the level of liquefying into a pill. Master Xingyun's soul power and Ning Yu's experience. Hope reignited in Palatial Lord Centaurea's heart. Of course, there was only a tiny bit of hope in Palatial Lord Centaurea's heart. It was so tiny that even she didn't believe it. But having hope was better than nothing. Whoosh. Ning Yu didn't know what happened in the Flower Palace. However, even if Ning Yu knew about it, he had no time to care because he was currently facing a huge problem. His soul power had already entered Xielan's Sea of Consciousness, and he saw the soul power left behind by the 100 Flowers Demon Lord. However, the 100 Flowers Demon Master's soul power had grown much stronger. It was clear that the 100 Flowers Demon Master and the Palace Master had not only gained the upper hand during the time they were using the soul attraction technique, but the 100 Flowers Demon Master had also devoured a portion of the Palace Master's soul. Of course, Ning Yu wasn't too worried about the 100 Flowers Demon Master's soul power. The only thing that made things difficult for Ning Yu was that Xielan's soul force was already controlled by the 100 Flowers Demon Master. Xielan's body had originally been controlled by the Centaurea Palace Mistress. Now that the Centaurea Palace Mistress' spiritual force had been expelled, this body naturally belonged to the Centaurea Palace Mistress. Ning Yu. Seeing Ning Yu's face, 100 Flowers Demon Master was slightly surprised. A few months ago, he had come into contact with Ning Yu. At that time, his soul power had been jointly controlled by Ning Yu and Palace Master Centaurea. It was only because he wanted to use the soul attraction technique that he was able to preserve this wisp of soul force. Now that she saw Ning Yu, how could 100 Flowers Demon Master not be surprised? 100 Flowers Demon Master, I didn't think we would meet again. Ning Yu took a deep breath and tried to calm himself down. Ning Yu knew that he couldn't afford to anger the 100 Flowers Demon Master right now. Otherwise, Xielan might be in trouble. So, the person behind the Palace Master of 100 Flowers is you. The 100 Flowers Demon Master said indifferently, I'd like to see if your soul attraction art is stronger or if mine is stronger. As soon as he finished speaking, the 100 Flowers Demon Master opened his mouth and directly swallowed half of Xielan's soul force. With half of her soul power devoured, Xielan immediately let out a hysterical scream. I'll use her soul power as a guide. If you can defeat me, you can save her life. Otherwise, both of you will die. The 100 Flowers Demon Master's eyes revealed a cold expression. He immediately sat down cross-legged and began to use the soul attraction art against Xielan. Swoosh. As the 100 Flowers Demon Master used the soul attraction art, Xielan's remaining soul power directly flew over to Ning Yu's side. Xielan stared at Ning Yu without saying a word. However, Ning Yu could see the determination in Xielan's eyes. Xielan's meaning was very clear. If you can't do it, then forget it. I can self-destruct and perish together with the 100 Flowers Demon Master. Trust me. Ning Yu nodded slightly and then sat down cross-legged. He formed a series of hand seals and began to use the soul attraction art. Buzz. As Ning Yu waved his hands continuously, the remaining half of Xielan's soul power slowly merged with Ning Yu's soul power. Xielan's actions clearly shocked Ning Yu. Cutting off all means of retreat. Clearly, Xielan had made her decision. The moment Ning Yu failed, she would choose to self-destruct and perish together with the 100 Flowers Demon Master's soul power. Xielan's decision made Ning Yu feel immense pressure. It was fine if he failed alone, but he would definitely implicate Xielan. Taking a deep breath, Ning Yu threw those thoughts out of his mind and began to fully focus on executing the soul attraction art. If the 100 Flowers Demon Master was an ordinary cultivator, Ning Yu wouldn't be worried, nor would he feel the slightest pressure. However, the 100 Flowers Demon Master wasn't simple. From his soul power, Ning Yu could determine that the 100 Flowers Demon Master was extremely powerful. He might even be a pinnacle heavenly supreme. Ning Yu was a little puzzled. Logically speaking, the 100 Flowers Palace Lord's strength was far inferior to the 100 Flowers Demon Master's. She shouldn't be able to withstand the 100 Flowers Demon Master's attack. Of course, these thoughts only flashed through Ning Yu's mind. They didn't affect Ning Yu. Ning Yu knew what he was going to do. He was going to execute the soul attraction art to fight against the 100 Flowers Demon Master. Fat. However, not long after, Ning Yu ran into trouble. Although the soul power that the 100 Flowers Demon Master left in Xielan's body wasn't too strong, it wasn't weak either. With Ning Yu's current pinnacle 8th grade soul force, there was no way he could defeat the 100 Flowers Demon Master in terms of soul attraction art. Grandmaster Xing Yun. Ning Yu wasn't an indecisive person. Since he couldn't fight against the 100 Flowers Demon Master with his current soul power, Ning Yu decided to contact Grandmaster Xing Yun and ask for some soul power. Grandmaster Xing Yun's soul power was at the liquid to core level. With his help, Ning Yu's chances of winning would be much higher. Transfer all of your soul power to me. Ning Yu didn't hide his thoughts and directly told Grandmaster Xing Yun his request. What? Grandmaster Xing Yun was extremely focused. When he heard Ning Yu's request, he was stunned for a moment before he said in a deep voice, "Absolutely not. My soul power has reached the liquid to core level. If I transfer it to you, it might cause your soul power to explode. Hurry up. It'll be too late." Now that things had come to this, Ning Yu couldn't care less. Only Grandmaster Xing Yun's soul power could defeat the 100 Flowers Demon Master. All right. Grandmaster Xing Yun gritted his teeth and sent half of his soul power into Xielan's body to merge with Ning Yu's soul power. No, it's too little. Ning Yu knew that Grandmaster Xing Yun was doing this for his own good. However, if he wanted to defeat the 100 Flowers Demon Master, he could only use Grandmaster Xing Yun's soul power. Here you go. Grandmaster Xing Yun knew that once Ning Yu made up his mind, he would never change it. He took a deep breath and transferred the rest of his soul power to Ning Yu. What's going on? In the secret chamber, Yunshi saw Grandmaster Xing Yun's serious expression and asked. As Yunshi's priority was to protect Grandmaster Xing Yun, she didn't know about the conversation between Grandmaster Xing Yun and Ning Yu. Chapter 1510. Dong. 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 Giant Shield City, City Lord Mansion, Secret Room. Master Xing Yun Shi and Master Xing Yun paced back and forth with a serious expression on their faces. It had been an hour since Ning Yu and 100 Flowers Demon Master used the soul attraction technique. In this hour, Ning Yu had spat out blood 4 to 5 times. Every time Ning Yu spat out blood, Master Xing Yun Shi and Master Xing Yun Shi's hearts would jump. The lives of everyone in Giant Shield City were all in Ning Yu's hands. If Ning Yu failed, Giant Shield City would probably be breached in a few days. If Ning Yu succeeded, 100 Flowers Demon Master would be implicated and might even be seriously injured, unable to attack Giant Shield City for a while. I wonder if Ning Yu will succeed. At first, Master Xing Yun didn't believe in Ning Yu. But as time passed, Master Xing Yun believed in Ning Yu more and more. If Ning Yu couldn't do it, he would have died long ago. He wouldn't have lasted until now. Since he could last until now, it meant that there might be a miracle. I'll watch over here. Do you want to go to Giant Shield City to take charge? Grandmaster Xing Yun looked at Fairy Yun Shi and said hesitantly, recently, rumors have been spreading in Giant Shield City. It's said that something happened to the Palace Master of 100 Flowers Palace. If this rumor is allowed to spread, it might cause panic. While Ning Yu and 100 Flowers Demon Master were fighting, Bada had come a few times. Bada was under a lot of pressure. Ning Yu wanted him to calm down the people in Giant Shield City. Now, it seemed that he couldn't do it. Shio. As soon as Master Xing Yun's voice fell, Bada appeared outside the secret room again. I'll deal with this. You stay here and protect Ning Yu. Fairy Yun Shi knew the severity of the problem. She glanced at Ning Yu one last time before her figure flashed and she flew outside. Giant Shield City was their headquarters, and nothing could happen to it. Otherwise, Even if Ningyu succeeded, they wouldn't be able to launch a counterattack. Grandmaster Xingyun, will Ningyu succeed? After Fairy Yunxi left, Bada looked at Ningyu and finally gritted his teeth. Bada really hoped that Ningyu could succeed. After all, only Ningyu knew where the bloodthirsty wolf clan's geniuses resided. Once Ningyu died in battle, the werewolf clan's geniuses would most likely meet with misfortune. I'm not too sure either. Grandmaster Xingyun took a deep breath and said, let's wait and see, puff. Before Grandmaster Xingyun could finish his words, Ningyu spat out another mouthful of blood. The 6th time. This was the 6th time Ningyu had vomited blood. Whoosh. However, this time, after Ningyu vomited blood, he did something that made Grandmaster Xingyun very excited. Ningyu slowly moved his hands away from Xielan's back. Then, he suddenly exerted force and slapped Xielan's back again. Puff. Following Ningyu's slap, Xielan also spat out a mouthful of blood. His already pale face became even paler. Did he succeed? Grandmaster Xingyun and Bada looked at Ningyu with hope and said hurriedly. Ningyu did not answer Grandmaster Xingyun and Bada's words. Instead, he slowly closed his eyes. Seeing Ningyu's actions, Grandmaster Xingyun and Bada were very anxious, but they had no other choice but to wait. Drip, drip. Time was ticking away. After another hour, Ningyu opened his eyes again. Huff. Slowly letting out a mouthful of turbid air, Ningyu said in a solemn voice, I made use of the 100 Flowers Demon Lord's carelessness to control his soul force. Furthermore, I used the soul attraction art to heavily injure his soul force. What should we do now? Grandmaster Xingyun knew that something big was about to happen, so he asked with a grave expression. Gather Daoist Chimo, Fairy Yunxi, you, and Bada. We'll set off for the 100 Flowers Palace and capture the 100 Flowers Demon Lord, Ningyu said straightforwardly, as if he didn't want to shock them to death. Rustle. Just as he had expected, Ningyu's words caused Grandmaster Xingyun and Bada's faces to be filled with fear. Kill his way into the 100 Flowers Palace? Capture the 100 Flowers Demon Lord? Regardless of which matter it was, it would definitely shock the heavens and earth if it was spread out. One must know that the black-robed cultivator and the bamboo-hatted man were the subordinates of the 100 Flowers Demon Lord. The two of them were middle-stage heavenly sovereigns. Adding to Orhi, who had attacked the giant shield city, the 100 Flowers Demon Lord had 3 heavenly sovereigns under him. Who knew if the 100 Flowers Demon Lord had any powerful heavenly sovereigns? If they attacked the 100 Flowers Palace rashly and encountered a middle-stage heavenly sovereign, they might be annihilated. That was why Grandmaster Xingyun and Bada didn't agree with Ningyu's decision. I've already used the soul attraction art to heavily injure the 100 Flowers Demon Lord's soul force. As long as we give him a few hours, he'll recover. Ningyu knew that it would be difficult to convince Grandmaster Xingyun and Bada, but he still said, at that time, not only will the 100 Flowers Palace Master be controlled by the 100 Flowers Demon Lord, even the giant shield city will be gone. Hearing the stakes in Ningyu's words, Bada and Grandmaster Xingyun went silent. This matter was indeed tricky. If they made a move, they might still have a chance of survival. If they didn't, only death awaited them. Bada, contact Fairy Yunxi and Dao Master Jimo, tell them to come see me now. Ningyu's tone was unquestionable as he said in a deep voice. The reason why Ningyu was so determined to attack the 100 Flowers Palace and capture the 100 Flowers Demon Lord wasn't because he was arrogant and conceited. Instead, it was because he understood something unusual from the 100 Flowers Demon Lord's soul force. It was because of this that he had no choice but to capture the 100 Flowers Demon Lord. There were some things that needed to be investigated personally to know. Bada didn't want to mess around with Ningyu, so he shifted his gaze to Grandmaster Xingyun. All right. When he saw Grandmaster Xingyun lightly nod his head, Bada knew that this matter couldn't be changed. Since it couldn't be changed, he could only get used to it. After responding, Bada moved and went to look for Dao Master Jimo and Fairy Yunxi. Swish, swish, swish. About 4 to 5 minutes later, Dao Master Ji-mo and Fairy Yun Shi returned to the secret chamber at the same time and looked at Ningyu in shock. Along the way, Bada had already told Dao Master Ji-mo and Fairy Yun Shi about Ningyu's plan. It was only natural that they were shocked. We have to do this. There's no room for discussion. Ningyu's attitude was firm as he said in a deep voice, if you guys don't agree, I'll leave right now and never step into Giant Shield City again. You've given us a difficult problem. A solemn expression appeared on Yun Shi's face. To be honest, attacking the 100 Flowers Palace now was the best choice. However, Fairy Yun Shi's only worry was that no one in Giant Shield City would hold back and the black-robed cultivators would take advantage of the situation. Chapter 15:11. To meet with obstruction time is limited. You must give me an answer as soon as possible. Ningyu knew what Fairy Yun Shi was worried about, but at the same time, he also knew that this was the best time to deal with the 100 Flowers Demon Master. If he missed this opportunity, he wouldn't have another one. All right. Fairy Yun Shi wasn't an indecisive person. She gritted her teeth and said in a low voice, give me 5 minutes. We'll depart for the Flower Palace in 5 minutes. Before Ningyu could reply, Fairy Yun Shi turned to Daoist Shen-mo and said, follow me. Whoosh, whoosh. In the next moment, Fairy Yun Shi and perfected devil's figures flashed and vanished in the blink of an eye. As time passed, Ningyu quietly waited in the secret chamber. Catcher. Fairy Yun Shi was very punctual. 5 minutes later, the void split open and Fairy Yun Shi and Daoist Master Ji-mo appeared in the secret chamber. Are you ready? Ningyu asked. Fairy Yun Shi nodded and said, we're ready. We can leave for the 100 Flowers Palace now, but the entire Giant Shield City is tightly surrounded. Which city gate should we leave from? It was no wonder that Fairy Yun Shi was overthinking things. The 4 armies of 100 Flowers City surrounded Giant Shield City so tightly that not even a drop of water could trickle through. Even the departure of a fly would attract their attention. It was not an easy task to pass through their iron bucket defense. Who told you that we were going to leave through the city gates? Ningyu's lips curled into a smile as he pointed at the ground with his right hand. His meaning was self-evident. Leave through the underground. Ningyu's actions stunned Fairy Yun Shi and perfected devil. Now that the entire Giant Shield City was surrounded, leaving through the underground was not a bad idea. However, when the exceptional killing array was activated, leaving from underground was extremely dangerous. The slightest bit of carelessness would cause one to be judged as an intruder by the peerless killing formation and launch a fierce attack from there. Don't worry, the small formation core is with me, we can leave from underground smoothly. Ningyu waved his hand and said, the only thing we need to pay attention to is that Meng Quan and the rest might have set up a blockade outside Giant Shield City. So, after we leave Giant Shield City, we need your help. What do you need me to do? Yun Shi said solemnly. It's very simple. Use your 100 Flower Fan to conceal our auras and allow us to leave without anyone noticing, said Ningyu. No problem, Yun Shi said solemnly. All right, let's go now. Ningyu was not an indecisive person. He left as soon as he said he would, not wasting any time. With the help of the small array core, Ningyu and the others easily drilled into the ground and arrived at the edge of the peerless killing array. Who? Just as he arrived at the edge of the peerless killing array, Ningyu hurriedly put down the small array core and let out a long sigh of relief. Ningyu's strength was almost completely exhausted after bringing the small array core here. Fortunately, he had Emperor-grade essence crystals to replenish his vitality. Otherwise, it was unknown whether Ningyu could persist until now. One had to know that only Ningyu could move a small array eye. If Ningyu could not hold on, then the plan this time would be for naught. Only after swallowing and refining quite a few pieces of Emperor-grade essence crystals did Ningyu recover to his peak condition. Yun Shi, I'll break open the small array core with all my strength in a while. What you need to do is to use the 100 Flower Fan to conceal all of our auras when I break open the small array core. Ningyu's expression was solemn as he warned Yun Shi about the things that she needed to take note of. Although this place was above ground, it did not eliminate the possibility that Meng Quan and the rest would send people to guard outside. Hence, in consideration of safety, letting Yunshi use the 100-flower fan to conceal everyone's aura was the most correct choice. No problem. Yunshi knew the severity of the matter. She nodded and said, "Open." Obtaining Yunshi's affirmative reply, Ningyu did not hesitate anymore and immediately attacked the small array core. Crack. Accompanied by a crisp sound, a gap suddenly appeared in the small formation eye. Go. This was the moment that Ningyu had been waiting for. When the small formation eye cracked open, he was the first to rush towards the opening. Seal it. Yunshi still remembered Ningyu's instructions. She hurriedly took out the 100-flower fan and concealed everyone's aura. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Just as Ningyu and the rest left Giant Shield City, they encountered trouble. 3 figures were galloping towards them from 3 different directions. 5th-grade Earth Sovereigns. The cultivation of these 3 figures were all 5th-grade Earth Sovereigns. Ningyu and the rest had guessed correctly. Meng Quan was a shrewd person. Not only did he get the army to guard the surface, he even sent experts to guard the underground. Just as he had expected, the 3 5th-grade Earth Sovereigns that he sent out had captured Ningyu's group. Fairy Yunshi, Grandmaster Xingyun, the 2 of you seal off this area. Ningyu did not panic. Instead, he issued an order, Bada, Master Mo, the 2 of you must capture them alive. Understood. Yunshi and the rest replied in unison. After the battle at the Giant Shield City's northern gate, Yunshi and the rest had already vaguely regarded Ningyu as their leader and started to listen to Ningyu's orders. Reality had proven that Ningyu's decisions were correct. They rescued the Palace Master's soul, heavily injured the 100 Flowers Demon Master, and rescued Xielan. All of this was thanks to Ningyu's help. Now that Ningyu had issued an order, they naturally wouldn't disobey. Whoosh. Yunshi activated the 100-flower fan and sealed the surroundings in an instant. Grandmaster Xingyun also used the strength of his liquid to core spiritual energy to cut off the 3 5th-grade Earth Sovereigns' soul transmission channels, preventing them from contacting Meng Quan. As for Bada and Master Mo, they were both pinnacle 9th-grade Earth Sovereigns. It didn't take much effort for 2 pinnacle 9th-grade Earth Sovereigns to deal with 3 5th-grade Earth Sovereigns. A few seconds later, the 3 5th-grade Earth Sovereigns were captured by Bada and Master Mo and escorted to Ningyu. How many cultivators are there under the Giant Shield City? Ningyu did not want to waste any time. He said, "I want to hear a definite answer. Otherwise, you should know the consequences." Leader Meng has already set up an inescapable net under the Giant Shield City. "You can't run away." One of the 5th-grade Earth Sovereigns snorted, "If you know what's good for you, let us go as soon as possible. Otherwise, you should know the consequences." The 5th-grade Earth Sovereign was very arrogant. He returned Ningyu's words to him. Crack. Ningyu couldn't be bothered to talk to this kind of person. He raised his sword and instantly chopped off the 5th-grade Earth Sovereign's head. Kai. Then, Ningyu took out the Myriad Spirit Sacred Flag and let the Primordial Spirit Battle Physique devour the Primordial Spirit of the 5th-grade Earth Sovereign. Gulp. Seeing the miserable state of the 5th-grade Earth Sovereign, the other 2 5th-grade Earth Sovereigns couldn't help swallowing a mouthful of saliva. The death of the 5th-grade Earth Sovereign made the other 2 5th-grade Earth Sovereigns realize a fact. Chapter 1512. Chapter 1512. Chapter 1512 Ruo Shui River. After casually killing the crewcut cultivator, Ningyu shifted his gaze onto the remaining 2 5th-grade Earth Sovereigns. Without beating around the bush, Ningyu asked directly, "How many cultivators are there under Giant Shield City?" "East, West, North, South, and Central. There are 5 5th-grade Earth Sovereigns in each region." Amongst the 2 remaining 5th-grade Earth Sovereigns, one had a scar on his face, while the other only had a right arm. Since the death of the crewcut martial artist had a great impact on them, the 2 of them did not dare to hold back at all. In the next few minutes, they told him everything they knew. This is troublesome. Ningyu frowned slightly when he heard what the scarred cultivator and the one-armed cultivator had to say. He felt that the situation was a little tricky. The reason why Ningyu felt troubled was because he heard an extremely serious matter from Knife Scar's words. Every once in a while, 25 martial artists from the 5 regions would gather in the central region and report the situation there. There were only 3 minutes left before the next gathering. In other words, in 3 minutes, all 25 martial artists would arrive at the central area. As long as the martial artists in a certain region did not go over, Meng Quan and the rest would definitely know that something happened in that region. Now that the crew-cut martial artist had been killed, there was no way for them to gather. Immortal Chimo. After pondering for a moment, Ningyu took a deep breath and said to Perfected Devil, transform into a martial artist with a crew-cut later and gather at the central area with Scar and the rest. Me. Daoist Jimo was slightly stunned when he heard Ningyu, and then he pointed at himself and asked with a puzzled expression, could it be that we're not going to the Flower Palace? Not only was Master Kaimo puzzled, but even Master Xingyun and the others were puzzled. When they were in the City Lord's mansion, Ningyu had already told them the plan for this trip. He would head to the 100 Flowers Palace and attack the 100 Flowers Demon Master. They hadn't even taken a step yet. Were they going to waste all their previous efforts? I definitely have to go to the Flower Palace, and I have to go right now. I can't delay for even a moment. Ningyu's expression was solemn as he said in a deep voice, what I mean is for you to become a flat-top martial artist and stay here, while the few of us continue on our way to the Hundreds of Flowers Palace. Perfected Devil Saint opened his mouth and hurriedly said. However, Ningyu was a shrewd person. The moment Dao Master Jimo opened his mouth, he already knew what Dao Master Jimo wanted to say. So, Ningyu waved his hand and interrupted Daoist Jimo, do you think that staying here is taking care of you? To tell you the truth, the responsibility of the people who stay behind is very big. They must ensure that the small formation core is not exposed. All right. Daoist Master Jimo was very clear that Ningyu was right. He was a very rational person. I will stay behind. However, all of you must return within a day. Otherwise, I will have to head to the 100 Flowers Devil Palace to receive you. Daoist Master Jimo stared at Ningyu, as if he wouldn't stay behind if Ningyu didn't agree to it. Ningyu nodded his head and did not say anything unnecessary. His figure flashed as he charged towards the distance. The reason why Ningyu did not speak any nonsense was because Daoist Master Jimo was a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign. He knew what to do. The scarred martial artist and one-armed martial artist definitely couldn't play any tricks under his eyes. Whoosh. Fairy Yun she kept her 100 Flowers fan and disappeared along with Ningyu. Go. As soon as Ningyu and the rest left, Daoist Master Jimo flicked his finger. Instantly, 2 cold rays shot out and entered the scarred martial artist and one-armed martial artist sea of consciousness. After controlling the scarred martial artist and one-armed martial artist, Daoist Master Jimo transformed into the flat-top martial artist. Aside from his appearance, even his aura and actions were very similar to the flat-top martial artist. After leaving the Giant Shield City, Ningyu, Fairy Yunxi, and the rest set off at full speed. They did not make any stops along the way. Due to the distance between the Giant Shield City and the 100 Flowers Palace not being too far, in addition to Ningyu and the rest flying at full speed, it only took them an hour to arrive at the 100 Flowers Palace's territory. However, Ningyu and the rest did not immediately charge into the 100 Flowers Palace. Instead, they stopped when they were a few hundred meters away from the 100 Flowers Palace. Grandmaster Xingyun, your soul force is the strongest among us. Try and see how many pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereigns there are in the 100 Flowers Palace. Looking at the 100 Flowers Palace not far away, Ningyu said with a grave expression. Ningyu knew his own limits. His soul force was only at the pinnacle of the 8th grade Earth Sovereign realm. So if a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign tried to conceal his aura, it would be hard for him to discover it. But Grandmaster Xingyun was different. His soul force had reached the level of liquid into pellets. Unless the other party knew some ancient methods to conceal their aura, they wouldn't be able to hide under Grandmaster Xingyun's powerful soul force. There's a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign hiding in the space beside the 100 Flowers Palace. Grandmaster Xingyun closed his eyes and unleashed his powerful soul force. A brief moment later, Grandmaster Xingyun opened his eyes and said, There are 2 pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereigns in the center of the 100 Flowers Palace. As for the forbidden area in the depths of the 100 Flowers Palace, there should be a heavenly sovereign. Heavenly sovereign? Upon hearing that there was a heavenly sovereign in the 100 Flowers Palace, Ningyu's heart skipped a beat. Fairy Yun Shi, with her 100 Flowers fan, could fight against an early-stage Sky Supreme. Grandmaster Xing Yun, with his Ascension Pagoda, could also fight against an early-stage Sky Supreme. However, their objective wasn't to confront heavenly sovereigns, but to capture the 100 Flowers Demon Lord, or to kill the 100 Flowers Demon Lord. Fairy Yun Shi, where do you think the Palace Master and 100 Flowers Demon Lord are? Ningyu turned to look at Fairy Yun Shi and asked. Fairy Yun Shi was from the 100 Flowers Palace, so she should have a good understanding of it. The Forbidden Area. They must be in the Forbidden Area of the 100 Flowers Palace. With our formation, even if we manage to enter the Forbidden Area, we'll still be blocked. Fairy Yun Shi said with a grave expression. In my opinion, we can enter the Forbidden Area of the Flower Palace from another place. You're talking about the Ruoshire River. Ningyu had been to the 100 Flowers Palace in his previous life and knew that the Forbidden Area was backed by the Ruoshire River. How do you know about the Ruoshire River? Fairy Yun Shi was shocked when she heard Ningyu's words. Even in the 100 Flowers Palace, there weren't more than 5 people who knew about the Ruoshire River. How could Fairy Yun Shi not be shocked that Ningyu knew about the Ruoshire River? Don't forget that if it wasn't for me, the Palace Master's soul force would have been long gone. Ningyu's expression was very calm, and he didn't reveal anything. That's true. The doubt in Fairy Yun Shi's heart lessened a little. After all, if it wasn't for Ningyu, the Palace Master's soul force would have been devoured by the 100 Flowers Demon Lord. The Ruoshire River is dangerous. How confident are you in crossing it? Ningyu asked. The Ruoshire River was said to be able to corrode even heavenly sovereigns. Chapter 1513. Chapter 1513, Golden Arowana Swish. Yun Shi didn't reply to Ningyu. Instead, she waved her sleeves and a green pearl appeared in her hand. This is a water avoidance pearl. It was obtained by the Palace Lord 10 years ago. As long as we have it, we can smoothly pass through the Ruoshire River and reach the entrance of the Forbidden Area. Yun Shi waved the pearl in her hand and continued, there are 2 entrances to the Forbidden Area. One is on the surface, while the other is underwater. The entrance on the surface is guarded by heavenly sovereigns, so we have to enter the Forbidden Area from the bottom of the Ruoshire River. When the time comes, we'll catch the 100 Flowers Demon Lord off guard and catch him off guard. How long can your water avoidance pearl allow us to last at the bottom of the Ruoshire River? Ningyu asked as he pointed at the pearl in Yun Shi's hand. Ningyu was well aware of how dangerous the Ruoshire River was. Even heavenly sovereigns couldn't move an inch in there, let alone them. If something happened to the water avoidance pearl, the consequences would be unimaginable. Don't worry. The water avoidance pearl comes from the Ruoshire River, so there won't be any problems. Yun Shi waved her hand and continued, let's not delay any further. Let's go to the Ruoshire River now. Wang. Yun Shi tore through space and entered the Ruoshire River in the blink of an eye. Although Ningyu was worried, he had no other choice. He could only rely on the water avoidance pearl to reach the Forbidden Area of the 100 Flowers Palace. The Ruoshire River wasn't on the surface, but underground. Ningyu and the rest carefully arrived at the back mountain of the 100 Flowers Palace and directly dove into the ground. After diving for 1,000 meters, Ningyu and the rest finally stopped. Whoosh! Looking at the flowing stream in front of him, Ningyu's expression became a little solemn. The Ruoshire River beneath the 100 Flowers Palace was only a small tributary. Even Ningyu from his previous life had no idea where it was or where it was headed. The only thing Ningyu knew was that the middle of the tributary was huge and deep, while the 2 ends were narrow and shallow. Let's go. Fairy Yun Shi led the way as they followed the stream upstream. As Ningyu and the others moved forward, the stream became bigger and bigger. Open. In the end, the stream was almost completely blocked. At this time, Fairy Yun Shi threw out the water avoidance pearl in her hand. Catcher. The water-repelling pearl suddenly enlarged and a gap appeared in the middle. Fairy Yun Shi entered the water avoidance pearl first. Shio, shio, shio. After that, Ning Yu, Bada, and Master Xingyun also entered the water avoidance pearl. Huala. After the few of them entered the water avoidance pearl, Fairy Yun Shi controlled the water avoidance pearl to close, and they suddenly dove into the bottom of the Ruo Shui River. Be careful. Powerful demonic beasts could appear in the Ruo Shui River at any time. Even though she had the protection of the water-repelling pearl, Fairy Yun Shi did not dare to relax. Previously, when she used the water avoidance pearl to enter the bottom of the Ruo Shui River, she was indeed attacked by demonic beasts. Fortunately, she did not encounter any particularly powerful demonic beasts. However, who knew if they would encounter any powerful demonic beasts next? Hence, it was better to be careful. After all, it was better to be safe than sorry. Huala. Speak of the devil. As soon as Fairy Yun Shi's warning sounded, they encountered trouble. All around them, a black school of fish attacked them, and almost instantly surrounded the water avoidance pearl. Damn it! It's actually a golden arowana. Fairy Yun Shi's heart sank to the bottom as she stared at the black mass of fish that had suddenly appeared. Golden arowanas were only recorded in the records of the 100 Flowers Palace, and no one had ever encountered them. Who would have thought that they would encounter the so-called overlord of the Ruo Shui River, the golden arowanas? The cultivation of these golden arowanas was not very high, only at the first-grade Earth Supreme Realm. However, their teeth were sharp, and they were like locusts, leaving nothing behind. Everyone, inject your energy into the surface of the water avoidance pearl. We must ensure that the water avoidance pearl will not be bitten by the golden arowanas. Fairy Yun Shi took a deep breath and tried to calm herself down. The most important thing now was not to fight the golden arowanas, but to ensure that the water avoidance pearl would not be destroyed. Although the golden arowanas were powerful, they were only at the first-grade Earth Supreme Realm. The only problem was that there were too many of them. The Ruo Shui River was different. The Ruo Shui River was known to corrode everything. Once the water avoidance pearl was broken, they would be contaminated by the Ruo Shui River, and even without the golden arowanas doing anything, they would be corroded into skeletons by the Ruo Shui River. Crack, crack, crack. Outside the water avoidance pearl, the numerous golden arowanas opened their mouths and desperately gnawed at the Yuan Qi barrier around the pearl. Fortunately, there is a Yuan Qi barrier, or the water avoidance pearl would have been destroyed. Seeing the golden arowanas gnawing at the Yuan Qi barrier, Fairy Yun Shi let out a long breath and said, "Hurry up, we need to reach the forbidden grounds as soon as possible." What? However, Fairy Yun Shi had clearly underestimated the fighting strength of the golden arowanas, as well as the defensive strength of the Yuan Qi barrier. These golden arowanas seemed to be very organized and disciplined. The golden arowanas at the front could not break through the Yuan Qi barrier, so they all retreated and let the golden arowanas at the back take their place. After 3 rounds, the golden arowanas that appeared were very large, many times larger than the average golden arowanas. These large golden arowanas also had relatively high cultivation, all of them at the 2nd-grade Earth Supreme Realm. The golden arowanas of the 1st-grade Earth Supreme Realm could not break through the Yuan Qi barrier, but the golden arowanas of the 2nd-grade Earth Supreme Realm were different. They only used a few seconds to gnaw a hole in the Yuan Qi barrier. Quick, stop them. Fortunately, Fairy Yun Shi reacted quickly and blocked the hole in time. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. How much longer can you guys last? Ning Yu did not inject any Yuan Qi into the barrier, but asked Fairy Yun Shi. The reason why Ning Yu did not help was not because he was selfish, but because he was searching for elixirs in the reincarnation pill Dao. In the reincarnation pill Dao, there was a type of elixir called the fish dizzy pill. As the name suggested, as long as the fish dizzy pill was consumed by a fish-type demonic beast, it would quickly fall asleep. Coincidentally, Ning Yu had the ingredients to refine the fish dizzy pill on him. However, refining the fish dizzy pill required at least half an hour. Therefore, whether the water avoidance pearl could last for half an hour was crucial. If the water avoidance pearl could not last for half an hour, then even if Ningyu started refining the fish dizzy pill, it would be useless. If no higher grade golden arowanas appear, it should not be a problem to last for half an hour. Fairy Yun, she said solemnly. Alright, then you guys must last for half an hour. Ningyu took a deep breath and with a flick of his wrist, he took out the emptiness pill furnace. The emptiness pill furnace was ranked 30th on the pill cauldron heaven board. It was perfect for refining the fish dizzy pill. Kai. After taking out the emptiness pill furnace, Ningyu took out the 10,000 bone flame and let it float in the air. After doing all this, Ningyu took out all the medicinal herbs he had on him, took out the useful medicinal herbs one by one, and threw them to the side. You want to refine elixirs? Chapter 1514. Giant dizzy fish pill. In fact, it was no wonder that Grandmaster Xingyun felt confused. Now that the situation was so urgent, he was still thinking about alchemy. Could a pill be used to chase away the golden arowana? What nonsense. Trust me, buy me half an hour. Ningyu knew what Master Xingyun was thinking, but it was too urgent for him to explain. Ignoring Grandmaster Xingyun's shocked expression, Ningyu threw the incorporeal pill furnace above his head and began to refine the fish dizzy pill. Although the fish faint pill was only a grade 8 elixir and Ningyu's soul power was at the peak of grade 8, Ningyu still dared not be careless when he started refining it. Even in his previous life, Ningyu had never refined the fish dizzy pill. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu casually grabbed a herb and threw it into the illusionary pill furnace. Kai. As soon as the medicinal ingredients entered the pill furnace, it did not take long for them to be completely refined, turning into a drop of pure liquid. Continue to strengthen the Yuan Qi barrier. At this moment, Yun Shi's words entered Grandmaster Xingyun's ears. The golden arowana had a strong bite force and could devour vital energy. If he didn't reinforce the Yuan Qi barrier, the golden arowana would come into contact with the water repellent pearl in about 10 minutes. Although the water avoidance pearl could resist the erosion of the weak water, its protection was very weak. Once the golden arowana came into contact with the water repellent pearl, it would be able to bite through it easily. At that time, the consequences would be unimaginable. Damn it! Master Xingyun knew the severity of the situation. After cursing in his heart, he activated the Yuan Qi in his body and worked with Fairy Yun Shi and Bada to strengthen the barrier with all his might. At the bottom of the Ruo Shui River, a strange scene was unfolding. The water avoidance pearl, which wasn't particularly big, was tightly wrapped in essence qi. Inside the water repellent pearl, Ningyu was making full use of the limited space to refine the fish dizzy pill. In the blink of an eye, 10 minutes had passed. 10 minutes later, Ningyu had refined all the medicinal ingredients, turning them into pure liquid. Just as Ningyu was about to proceed to the second step of the refinement, a sudden change occurred. The golden arowanas around the water repellent pearl suddenly retreated, and a group of even larger golden arowanas swarmed over from afar. The cultivation of this batch of golden arowanas were all third-grade Earth sovereigns. A second-grade Earth sovereign realm golden arowana was already troublesome enough. Now that another batch of third-grade Earth sovereign realm golden arowana had appeared, Fairy Yun Shi and the rest's hearts instantly sank to the bottom. There was no way to resolve this situation. It was an unsolvable situation. How much longer can you last? Due to the changes in the situation, Ningyu had to take the risk of failure and speed up the refinement of the fish dizziness pill. Ningyu had already prepared himself for both scenarios. If Fairy Yun Shi and the others could hold on for a while longer, he would continue to refine the fish dizzy pill. If they couldn't hold on any longer, he would have to think of something else. In fact, Ningyu even took out the Tower of Yuzuan and handed it to Grandmaster Xingyun. If a 4th-grade Earth Sovereign or 5th-grade Earth Sovereign Realm Golden Arowana appears, holding on for 10 minutes is already the limit. Grandmaster Xingyun said in a low voice after receiving the Tower of Yuzuan. Then I'll hold on for 10 minutes. A cold light shot out from Ningyu's eyes, and his face was extremely solemn. Under normal circumstances, even if he increased his speed, he wouldn't be able to refine the fish dizzy pill in the next 10 minutes. But the current situation didn't allow Ningyu to think too much. He could only give it his all. Crack, crack, crack. Outside the water-repellent pearl, the third-grade Earth Sovereign golden arowanas continuously gnawed away at the yuan-qi barrier. In just a few seconds, a layer of the yuan-qi barrier set up by Grandmaster Xingyun and the rest had already been gnawed away. Holding on for 10 minutes was still a long way to go. Open up. Ningyu knew that time was of the essence, so he didn't want to waste even a second. He immediately began refining the second stage of the fish dizzy pill. Compression. The second stage was compression, which was to compress the pure liquid into the embryonic form of the pellet. Whether the fish dizzy pill could be refined depended on this stage. With a grave expression, Ningyu's mind was highly concentrated as he threw himself into the refinement of the fish dizzy pill. Drip. Time flew by quickly. In the blink of an eye, 5 minutes had passed. When the 6th minute arrived, Ningyu had finally completed the second stage and condensed the embryonic form of the fish dizzy pill. Fart. 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 While Ningyu had completed the second stage of the fish dizzy pill, Grandmaster Xingyun and Fairy Yun she spewed a mouthful of blood at the same time. Rustle. Casting his gaze over, Ningyu saw that the cultivation of the golden arowana outside the water-repellent pearl had already reached the 5th-grade Earth Sovereign Rel. The strength of the 5th-grade Earth Sovereign golden arowana had increased by a lot. If it wasn't for the help of the 100 Flowers fan, Grandmaster Xingyun and Fairy Yun she wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes. Hold on for another 5 minutes. With the completion of the second stage of the fish dizzy pill, Ningyu should be able to refine it in 5 minutes if he increased his refining speed. Alright, let's do it. Since Ningyu had put it this way, Fairy Yun she and Fairy Yun she no longer grumbled. Instead, they ignited their blood essences to resist the attack of the golden arowana. Seeing that Grandmaster Xingyun and the rest were igniting their blood essences, Ningyu's expression turned extremely grave. All their hopes were placed on him. Ningyu felt the pressure on his shoulders increasing. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu focused his mind and started to refine the fish dizzy pill. In the next 5 minutes, almost every minute, a different kind of golden arowana would attack the yuan-qi barrier. 4th-grade Earth Sovereign, 5th-grade Earth Sovereign, 6th-grade Earth Sovereign. In the end, even the 7th-grade Earth Sovereign golden arowana appeared. The impact of the 7th-grade Earth Sovereign golden arowana was extremely powerful. As soon as they began to move, the vital energy shield around the water-repellent pearl was almost eaten up. There was not much left. Ningyu, we can't hold on any longer. Under the attack of the 8th-grade Earth Sovereign golden arowana, Grandmaster Xingyun she and Fairy Yun she couldn't do anything even if they ignited their blood essences. Grandmaster Xingyun's original plan was to perish together with the golden arowana. However, he changed his mind and thought of Ningyu. Ningyu was an eccentric person. He might really have a way to drive the golden arowana away. Rise. Ningyu had reached a critical moment in refining the fish dizzy pill. He naturally had no time to care about Grandmaster Xingyun's words. He slapped the cauldron and the lid flew up. Several pills shot out from the cauldron. Fairy Yun she, hurry up and open the water avoidance pearl. Throw this pill out. Ningyu didn't want the water avoidance pearl to break. Therefore, after refining the fish dizzy pill, he immediately gave it to Fairy Yun she and Grandmaster Xingyun. Even Bada got a few of them. Ningyu didn't want the ordinary fish dizzy pill. He held a fist-sized pill in his hand. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.